Hey man, it's Kevin Smith.
Hey, this is Jay Music.
Hey, I'm Scott Snyder.
I'm Cena Grace.
And you're listening
to the Absolute Geek.
The Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek Podcast.
Check it out, Snoogans.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast. I am Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Corbin.
And he's Corbin.
I'm here. Can you there?
All right, we can hear you now.
Jack O'Halloran in the building.
How are you doing tonight, sir? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing the best I can, whatever they'll let me get away with.
Always good to hear.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us this week. Matt has dropped a few nuggets of information that has us all very excited to do this interview tonight. So we appreciate it, Jack.
My pleasure, I'm sure. Who's baking the cookies?
So
I already ate them all, as you can see.
I figured that. I had you zeroed in.
Lord.
So you started playing sports at a young age. You started playing football and then moved to boxing. Became a heavyweight fighter, and you took on the likes of Cleveland Williams, Manuel Ramos, and even fought against George Foreman, right?
Yeah.
And you were supposed to have a couple of fights against Muhammad Ali that never worked out. Can you go through your career as a fighter and kind of what led you from that to acting?
I wanted to play football. Then it was a time when you couldn't play until your class graduated college. They didn't have hardship cases in the 60s. So you had to wait till your class graduated before you could play. And I came out of school early, and the Jets grabbed me, and they had farm teams, like for baseball, they had them for football on the East Coast, and we had a team down at Tinicum outside of Philadelphia. Dick Christie and Jimmy Christie played on, and a couple other guys who played pro ball, some pretty good ball players, waiting to go up into the pros. And when it came time to play, Philadelphia had a great team, and Jurgensen was down there, Tommy McDonald and all. And I said to Eubank, I think I'd like to get out of Philly and play a little bit. And they said, well, you always have a home here. So go down and give it a whip. And Jerry Wallman bought the team, and he hired some clown named Joe Q. Harrick. And he traded a championship football team with this guy, like in 3 months' time. Jurgensen was gone, McDonald was gone. Traded 4 great linemen, young kids, to Green Bay for a retired Jim Ringo. Just crazy shit, boy. And Timmy Brown and I came out of a meeting one day, and he walked right by us like we weren't even there. And I said, "Yo, don't you ever talk to people?" I said, "You know what? Take this team and stick it up your ass." And Timmy said, "While you're at it, trade me." And Muhammad had just won the title, and I said to some people, I can beat that guy. Next thing I know, I'm in the gym,
Great story start just like that.
Yeah. I couldn't box amateur because I was already considered a professional athlete, and in those days you couldn't do both. Today you could get away with that. You could be a pro in one sport and run track in the Olympics or whatever. You can't do that back in the 60s. So
Wow.
I, it all was fun and games. And they, then when I was like 16-0 or 17-0, and they found out I had a disease called acromegalia, which is a tumor of the pituitary gland. And they said, you shouldn't even be fighting. And I said, yeah, right. And, and then I was involved in my father's business from New York. And so the boxing was like a day game, something to keep the law away from you.
I get that.
I would really love to get into that a little bit. For people that don't know, cue everybody in on your family and your upbringing.
My father was a man called Albert Anastasia, who was one of the primo dons of the country. Ran a little company called Murder Incorporated. He was partners with Meyer Lansky and Costello and Charlie Luciana and a few other good people. So it was, and they assassinated him in '57 because he wouldn't go in the drug business, and he controlled all the harbors. And he said, "You're not bringing that shit through my harbors. It just ain't going to happen." And we didn't sign up for that. And The Godfather, where Brando was offered the drug business and said, he turned it down because it would be the downfall of the families. That's what my father said. He said, our children will touch it and it would be the downfall of the families.
And your father was 100% right.
Yeah, he was. No, he definitely was. And they tried to tell him, well, it's only business. And he said, it's not a good business that we should be in. So,
you recently,
and then after they whacked him, they came to me when I was a kid. They said it was the worst thing they ever did because he was the glue that held them together. After Albert died, it all fell apart, started falling apart.
Wow.
You wrote a book about all this. What's the name of your book?
Family Legacy.
Family Legacy. And when did that book come out?
It's already out. It's quite a good book. We're getting ready. I got 3 more coming, and then I have a partner of mine, Charlie Luciana's son, and he's got his father's book, The Last Testament of Charles Luciana, Lucky Luciano. And we're going to incorporate some stuff and do a mini series and then a series. And series it'll make The Godfather, it'll make Sopranos and Boardwalk look like Child's Game.
Well, I got to be honest. I've been listening to a podcast lately that I've been listening to a lot to, and I don't think that there's very many other people talking about your life, basically what you grew up doing. And I've been listening lately to a podcast called The Hollywood Godfather with Gianni Russo, who was in the Godfather movie. Yeah, and just hearing about that history is something that I think we always hear from one side.
That's the whole 9 yards. You have to. What people don't really understand is if you go back to the beginning, government, industry, organized crime, and unions were all partners.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And all the illicit monies that they made in the beginning, they put back into the growth of a country.
Yeah.
They hired. My father controlled the waterfront, and they had the construction companies, and they invested in General Electric, and they created jobs because their mainstay in the beginning was gambling, loan sharking, and extortion. And if you didn't have money, how could you pay them? So they made sure you went to work. So they were actually helping the growth of a country in a lot of ways. And it was all good until the Kennedy era, and then things started going downhill.
Well, that's actually the exact area that I want to talk about with you, because you have some thoughts on the whole Kennedy era and what happened to Kennedy, and I would love to get into that. I don't know if we have enough time to get into all of it, but
it's a kind of a simple deal. If you were going to say single out one person that was responsible for Jack Kennedy's death, you got to look at his father.
Yep.
Because his father angered a bunch of people. I mean, he made a lot of people very angry. And it goes back to the Prohibition era when it all started. When he was married to Rose Fitzgerald, whose father was Honey Fitzgerald, who was a gangster from Ireland, but he was the first senator of Massachusetts. and he controlled the bank there. He controlled the harbor there. He was a powerful guy in his own right, And Joe Kennedy was the youngest bank president in the country's history. Very, very smart guy. There's no two ways about how smart he was. And so he married Rose Fitzgerald, and then he had a warehouse up in Canada, and there's a guy down in Newark, New Jersey, Zillman's guy was head of Fleischmann's Liquor, and they got together and they ran booze out of Canada into America. And there was a load of booze coming down, and they should have stuck just with New Jersey, New York, and the East Coast. But Joe Kennedy was a bit greedy, and they were bringing a load of booze down that was supposed to go to a crew called the Purple Gang. And he hijacked it. And they said, you're a dead man, sonny boy. And if they told you were dead, you were in trouble. They were serious people. So he ran home to his father-in-law, and his father-in-law said, I can't help you with those guys. You're going to have to go to Chicago and sit down with Joe Esposito, who was the first Don out there. Mm-hmm. And Esposito said, you know what, kid? You're a very good earner. You go back to Boston. I'll take care of the Purple Gang, but you belong to us out here now.
You owe me.
And they put him under thumb. And the only piece of property that Joe Kennedy ever put money into is the Mercantile Building downtown Chicago. They made him build that. And there was a club called the Hamilton Club, which was a political stronghold, like the New York Athletic Club was the Hamilton Club in Illinois, and the president and everybody used to hang out there. And in 1926, and Kennedy was sent to Hollywood. He, if you looked underneath the paperwork, RKO Studios, he put together their distribution deal with all the Jewish theater owners. That was the first real complex distribution studio deal ever done. And he was banging around. They introduced him to Randolph Hearst, and he was just that kind of guy, banging, socializing everywhere.
And Hollywood starlets.
Every one of them that walked down the street. He was a male whore.
Yeah.
And he, in 1926, America was, after World War I, we became a war-bearing country. So we started to make war surplus materials. And we're taking jobs away from Europe. And Europe was getting a little bit ticked off because they were the ones who financed the country originally. And they claimed they weren't getting their money back and this and that. So the guys at the Hamilton Club sat Joe down and said, listen, we want you to try something for us. And he did a short sell on Pathé Newsreel, and he stole $5 million in broad daylight. And no one ever said a word about it. And they said, that's very, very good. Now, this is what we really want you to do. And he orchestrated a short sell against 30 companies in Europe. One of them being a company that Blackjack Bouvier, who was Jackie Kennedy's father, and her uncle and his father owned. And it was a Rothschild company. And in fact, that's why he drank himself to death, the guy. They bankrupted his company. But they did this short sell in 1929, and it worked very well. And they did it for a week, and they made a lot of money, and they just plummeted. The market went up and down like crazy. They took off a couple of days, and they were coming back for the kill, and the crash happened because the country panicked because of the market going up and down. And it didn't bother those guys because they made a fortune. And they didn't do it to make the crash. It just happened as a remnant of it. So when the crash was over, then the president grabbed Kennedy and said, you did a great job. You did exactly what we wanted you to do. Now we want you to run the SEC and rewrite all the rules, because they knew Europe had to reinvest in the country, and they wanted them to do it under a new set of rules, and which he did. And in 1935, he did such a great job. Roosevelt said, you know what? Now we're going to send you to England, and you're going to be ambassador to England. And some people grabbed him in Chicago and said, when you go to Europe, we want to tie some strings with some people together. And Kennedy, we weren't in the war yet. And Kennedy went over and he sat down with the Shah of Iran, who was a gangster, and they put a bank together, and he lent money to Hitler. And then the money they lent to Hitler came back to the same crew, had Khashoggi, and bought weapons from him. And England turned around and said, whoa, you're lending money to our enemy. What the hell do you think you're doing? And he didn't care. He was making a lot of money.
Yeah,
and they threw him out of the country.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, didn't they, the government, or he was doing everything he can to stop the country from going into the war because they were making so much money.
He was making a fortune for submarines. They were just all kinds of war surplus. And they sent him out of the country, and nobody ever said a word why he came home. He came home as Ambassador Joe Kennedy, because the Gore family in Indiana owned the newspapers on the East Coast. They never printed a bad word about it. And Hearst owned the papers on the West Coast. And all the radio stations were owned by Murchison from Texas. So no one ever said a word about why. And there was no television then. So they controlled everything very well. And he was Ambassador Joe Kennedy when he came home. And, and so he had, because of the crash, he owned all that land up and down the East Coast, with all those estates and everything. That's how he got everything. And he decided he was going to run his son for president, and he wanted his first son to run for president. But what they did to him was, his first son was 10 days from getting out of the service. He was already mustering out, and they were building a plane, like a kamikaze plane, to fly into the German munition factories to put an end to the war. And they convinced him to test pilot the plane. And he was a great pilot, the kid. And he thought that was a great honor. And he took the plane up, and the plane, boop, poof, you're a pile of shit. And he was dead, And a week later, they scrapped the whole deal. They never even went forward with it. So they killed his first son.
Which crippled him mentally.
Oh, it just blew him away, because he was a real good kid.
And
when Jack was going to run for president, they grabbed him and they said, well, what are you going to do with this boy, Bobby? And they said, oh, no, Bobby, we're going to make him ambassador to Ireland, and we'll get him out of the way, because Bobby was already being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
With different committees, and once Jack was named president, he told him to name his son. He said, put Bobby as Attorney General, and he told Bobby, put all my good friends in jail. And they went after Giancana, he went after New York, they went after everybody. Yep. And, it was a whole game changer, and what they did was, what people don't really know, if they really look it up and read well, Jack Kennedy would never lived out his term. He was dying. He was dying of Addison's disease. He had 4 diseases, and syphilis being one of them, actually. And they were shooting him up every day. The doctor shot him up every day.
Yep.
So he could walk around. And but his father would have rather seen him die the way he died than die with a medical problem and put a mark on the family. And people say, well, man, that's awful cruel and cold-hearted. And I say, yeah, well, look what he did to his daughter.
Yeah.
He lobotomized his daughter because she had ADD and nobody had any cure or understanding of that. And he was afraid she was going to get crazy at some big function and dance on a table or something. So he lobotomized her. She sat in an institution all her life.
Yep.
Looking out a window.
Yep.
So he was not the nicest man in the world. In fact, he got his just due when he took his stroke. His wife used to beat the shit out of him every day. Really, Rose did. She used to punch him and bang him. Oh, man.
That was her chance.
Oh, that's why he couldn't move.
Yeah.
he was at her disposal, but he was just when Jack got killed, people said, who was the number one cop in the country? And everybody said, well, Hoover. It wasn't Hoover. It was Bobby. Was the Attorney General.
Yep.
And 4 people went to see him, including Adlai Stevenson, and said to him, do not let Jack go to Texas. The animosity is horrendous. And here he is going in an open car. And they took him 4 months to reroute that thing down Dealey Plaza to get it where they wanted it to perform this task. And here's an open car going down Dealey Plaza with the Byrd Building, the book depository, open windows, people walking around with the president below you in an open car. Should have never, ever, ever been. And Bobby, who was his second skin his whole career, didn't go before, wasn't there during, and never went afterwards because they knew he wasn't coming home.
It was a setup from the get.
And it was a sad, state of affairs. But and people, and Jack was shot that day 3 times, and no one ever talked about that either. He was shot first in the throat. Johnny Roselli was in the cauldron in the street and shot him and hit him in the throat. Conley was shot first. There were 13 shots fired then. Conley got shot first. Jack fell on top of him. Then he got shot in his lower back that they never talked about. And then the driver took the last shot and blew his, when you see his head go flying back, and the back of his head came out. Well, if his back of his head wasn't going to come out if he got shot by Oswald from a window behind him. That's, Oswald wasn't even in the building. And there was a police station right across the street. And these guys were looking right in that building. There was 3 people in the window, 2 dark complected, which were Cubans, and another guy. No Oswald. You understand? And if anybody would tell you, if you're any knowledge of weapons, that was what Oswald, the rifle that he ordered was a mail order rifle, bolt action. Yeah. So if you're a shooter and you're taking a shot of 1,000 feet or better, and you have wind problems and signs and a car moving in a decline and trees and all these elements involved, and first of all, you have to arrest your heart because your pulse is in your finger. So you're 60 seconds arresting your heart and taking in all the elements that you got to do to make a shot. And then you're going to tell somebody that you did 4 shots in 28 seconds with a bolt action rifle? Please give me a break. Yeah. Never happened.
Nope.
So I've
heard rumors that or stories that the mob had multiple shooters up and down the whole exit route as far away as 20, 30 miles.
First of all, the mob didn't orchestrate the hit.
Okay.
And that's all fallacy.
Okay.
The hit was orchestrated by one guy,
Joseph Kennedy, and
it was his first job in America. And he was a notorious guy called the Jackal, and he was.
I've heard of
him. I did a movie about him. The Jackal.
Yep.
He was a hell of a guy. I met him a couple times. He was a good guy. He lived in South America. In fact, he's supposed to be sitting in jail right now in France, and he's not. Some guy's doing the time. He's down at his father's ranch down in South America. But that was the first job he ever did in America. And he was the most clever guy as far as a hitter. He never talked on the phone. He never wrote any letters. And when he traveled as a priest. And he stayed in parishes. And when you talked to him, you went into a confessional. So no one ever saw his face. You know what I mean? And they would put $20 million. They'd put $20 million in a bank account. He would take care of the business. And Bob's your uncle, So he orchestrated the thing in Dallas. And they had so many elements. The CIA was mad because of the Bay of Pigs. The mafia was mad because of a bunch of things. The oil guys in Texas were mad because when Jack was running for president and they had the nominations in California, H.L. Hunt came out with a basket full of money, gave it to Joe Kennedy for them to run Johnson as vice president. And as soon as Jack was named president, his father said to him, all those guys down there in Texas, those oil guys, they're making a fortune on what you call surplus oil, and there's no tax on it. You got to levy a tax on these guys. So they levied a tax on them, and that cost those guys like $200-300 million a year. You think they weren't a little bit unhappy?
But they were a lot unhappy.
So there was a bunch of people and the CIA was, all those kids got killed in the Bay of Pigs because Joe Kennedy told his son, those guys don't need any bullets in their guns because you don't want anybody to make a mistake of shooting a gun off and creating an incident. And they got slaughtered. They just got shot down like ducks in the water. So there were some people not too happy.
Have you ever heard the stories of the deathbed confession by E. Howard Hunt and the
guy that drove the car? His son went on the Jesse Ventura's show.
Yeah.
And he had an affidavit from his father.
It was unbelievable. You can actually go listen to the deathbed confession where E. Howard Hunt, who is one of the most powerful men in the country from, the day he died and from the 60s or earlier till the day he died, to talk about exactly what happened. And it's mind blowing. Do you think that a lot of that is based in truth?
Yeah. No. H.L. Hunt was a trip, boy.
Yeah.
He was. You got to understand where everybody thought he was Texas born. He wasn't. He was born in Chicago, and he went from Chicago to Los Angeles, down to New Orleans, and he was a card shark. He was only 14, 15 years old, and he won a lot of oil leases in a card game down in Texas, and he was one of the biggest owners of that big oil field, the first one they hit oil on. There were four of them. There were Sid Richardson himself, and George and Herman Brown, which was Brown Root. George and Herman Brown wrote every check for every Texas president. I don't know if you know who Brown Root was. Today it's Halliburton. Brown Root. George and Herman Brown owned a shipbuilding place in the Houston Harbor, and in 1938 they were given the contract to build warships for America. So by 1939, 1940, these guys had like $800 million, which was a lot of money in those days. And there was a guy in Austin, Texas, who had power of the pen for all the federal buildings and naval bases and army bases, and Brown Root did all the building, built federal buildings and all that stuff. So they made a fortune,
making money.
Nobody ever talks about that.
No.
And they wrote the checks for George Bush. They wrote the checks for Johnson. They supported all the Texas. In 1960, Texas had four of the wealthiest men in the world. They could have seceded from America and become their own state. They had the wealthiest guy down there. You hear about his son, but never him. Was Old Man Murchison. Clint Murchison's father. Clint Murchison Jr. owned the Cowboys and the stadium they played in, but his father was the guy who had the bread, man. He was like a recluse. You never saw him. When they built the Long Island Railroad, everyone thought Rockefeller put up the money. Murchison did. Murchison put up the money for the Long Island Railroad when they were building the country. So he was a big time Mason.
I've heard a lot of people explain it as like the octopus because it has so many tentacles you can't.
Well, that was the name of the CIA, correct? It was called the Octopus Movement. That was the name of the deal. I feel like it's gotten so many different stories over the time. Well, you've got conspiracies, but nobody goes into a library and looks anything up. It's all there in books.
I reckon
nobody reads right. Everybody listen to the media. I mean, the whole Warren Commission was bullshit.
Yep.
It was total bullshit. When they locked up Jack Ruby, and the Warren Commission went to question him, and Ruby said, "Well, I guess you guys want to talk to me about Chicago because that's where he was from."
Yep.
And they said, "No, we don't care about Chicago." And Ruby said, "Well, you can't talk to me here, or I'm a dead man. You got to move me somewhere. If you want to talk to me, you got to take me somewhere." And they didn't. They put him in jail, and they took a needle from Tulane University, which had a cancer research laboratory, and boom, 6 months later, he's a dead man.
Yep.
So
wow.
Nobody looks at the truth of the matter. And when you see Ruby come into that underground deal when they brought Oswald out, and the guy beside him stepped away from him because he knew he was about to get shot. Yeah. And then when you look at the whole interviews of when they locked Oswald up, they never took a note, never recorded a conversation. Nothing of his interrogation was ever documented, and no one ever felt that was strange.
Yeah, because they saw him. He killed the president, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, they say, why doesn't Hoover get involved in this? The FBI, and he said, "Oh no, it's a one-man deal. It's not a conspiracy. You know, it's all bullshit.
So when one quick question about this whole thing, this Kenny thing, when you, a personal question for you, when this was happening and going down real life, did you have any idea or any thoughts about that it was, you know, there was something going on at the time?
I was in Dallas the night before at the party at Murchison's house.
Wow.
I was sent down there by Myron Lansky. I went down there on the premise I was going to play ball for Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Murchison owned the team.
Yep.
And I met McCoy, who was a huge banking guy, man. And he lived in Connecticut. And I met a lot of people. That's what I was sent there for, to learn. And I saw Johnson come in from Fort Worth when he went over to see Jack Kennedy when he flew in Dallas to the Fort Worth airport. And he came in, and then the whole group of them went into a room afterwards, and we left. We you know, guys said, we're done, let's go. And next morning I was out running with Johnny Roselli. I saw Roselli there before I left, and he was, you know, the whole thing was orchestrated to the letter.
Yeah.
And it was done so well that you have 100 conspiracy theories. And everybody talks this bullshit, everybody talks, and every 10 years, something new comes out. Mm-hmm. It took 10 years before they ever talked about him getting shot in his back. And it took, you know, when you get Zapruder, did you ever see the Zapruder footage?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the original Zapruder footage had 8 frames deleted from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the driver turning around and shooting. Well, I had those frames for a long time. Then the FBI they put it all together. Now it's been on YouTube, because somebody from NSA was going to do it, so the FBI did. And the frames are included now. You can see the driver turn and take the last shot. And nobody said anything about that. When you see the Zapruder footage and you're watching them come down Dealey Plaza, the Secret Service guys peeled away from Kennedy's car and walked to the car behind them. And then they all had to run up to the car when all the shots started, because they didn't feel like getting shot, you know, being in the way of anything. So
yeah.
Well, Jackie was climbing, trying to get out of the car, and they said, "Oh no, she was trying to scrape his brains." That's bullshit. She thought they were killing her next.
Yeah.
She tried to get out of the car, and they grabbed her and they told her, whispered right in her ear, "If you say one word about what you just witnessed, because they know she saw Greer shoot him, we'll kill your kids." And she never opened her mouth.
Yeah, she went into hiding, basically.
Never opened her mouth, and she lived with the jeweler, and she was going to write a book. She had an amazing diary, and when she died, her son grabbed the diary. He owned George Magazine. Then he was coming to Hollywood to make a deal, and they killed him in the plane.
Yep.
So, you know, and this is, all this stuff is, you know, it's there, but nobody, I mean, Zapruder never in his life held a camera in his hand before, and he suffered from vertigo. And here he is up high, 2 women holding his legs, and all these gunshots going on. He never took his finger off that camera because the film was sold to Life magazine for $150,000 before it was ever shot. Wow. And no one saw it for a year.
Wow.
Processed right in Murchison's lab in Dallas. That's where the 4 frames were taken out of it.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. This is fascinating to me. Make sure you guys, all the viewers who are watching, go check out Jack's book. What's the name of your book, Jack?
Family Legacy.
Family Legacy. Make sure you guys go check out Family Legacy.
Yeah, if you go to familylegacythenovel.com, takes you right to Amazon, gives you the history of it, the whole 9 yards.
How did you get involved in acting?
They can't, you know, when I was boxing in 1966 when I first started fighting, and I had my first few fights in Philly, and we had a club there that Jerry Wallman owned. It was in the Sheraton Hotel where he bought that whole building, and all the Eagles lived there. We all had apartments there and shit. And had this great disco on the ground floor, and we were the bouncers at night because it was a paycheck. And there was a big rhubarb something happened there, and I wound up outside with 6 or 7 people, and a few shots were fired at people, and so they got me out of town. So because I was undefeated as a fighter, and they put me on a train and sent me to Boston. And I was up in Boston, and Steve McQueen was doing Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah.
And we looked after him when he came into Boston, and he and I became really good friends. And he said to me, man, come down. He said, I'm going to put you in the movie and come to Hollywood, man. We'll have a ball. But Steve was a great kid.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think so, man. I said, he said, no, you got to do this. To hell with this fighting shit. He said, come to Hollywood, man. And I said no. Then in 1969, I knocked out Manuel Ramos, who was ranked second in the world. And I'm looking for an Ali fight with Raymond Patriarca and some people from the East Coast put together the deal for me to do The Great White Hope with James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And they flew me out to California. I met the producer, and I was supposed to just walk in and sign a contract. And I'm saying to the guy, well, hold on a minute. You want me to go to Spain for 6 months? I just knocked out the number 2 ranked heavyweight in the world, and I'm looking at a shot at Ali, and you want me to leave? They said, well, I thought the deal was all done. You're just supposed to sign the contract. And I turned it down. And Eddie Foy had put the deal together. He said, you're going to get me killed. I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And I'm leaving Fox, and I'm walking out, and James Earl Jones is coming up the steps, and he stopped me. He said, you're Jack O'Halloran. And I said, yeah, you're James Earl Jones. Isn't that amazing? He said, I got to ask you a question. Is it true what I just heard about you? Just how fast stories go around. Mm-hmm. True what I just heard about you? I said, well, it depends on what you heard. He said, you just told Hollywood to take the biggest movie that they're making right now and stick it. I said, well, I guess you could say that. He said, I got to shake your hand. Never met anybody done that before. And we became friends. And then McQueen called me on the phone. He said, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then he did a picture called Towering Inferno. And his name was Captain O'Halloran. And he called me up. He said, didn't you like your name up on the screen? Blah, blah, So when I retired from boxing, and they offered me Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum. And they flew me out to California to do a screen test, and Mitchum said it's either him or I don't do the movie. So I blame it all on Robert Mitchum.
What was it like with Robert Mitchum? That guy was like,
oh, he was great. He was like a father. If you ever had to have a mentor in your life to do something, Robert was the guy. Robert was a street guy. I mean, he was the most underrated actor in Hollywood.
Yes.
He was probably the most well-read man I ever met in my life. He had an amazing memory capacity. He was, I'll tell you a great story about him. Mitchum, he lived in Maryland. He owned quarter horses. He won the Rio Doza a couple times, which is the biggest quarter horse race in the country.
Yep.
And he lived in Maryland. He was down the street from the White House, so he was like the resident movie star. Whenever they needed an actor and he was home, he would go up to have dinner, all that jazz. So he gets a phone call one day, and he said, Mr. Mitchum, we'd like you to come and have this dinner. And he didn't think anything of it. He said, yeah, well, why not? So he goes up, and he said, I was the only non-military guy at the dinner. All these guys were military guys and congressmen, all involved in the Vietnam War. And after dinner, he's having a conversation with these people. And this one guy speaks up to him and said, Robert, he said, what do you know about Vietnam? And he said, I was just about to bullshit them, because he could do that because he read everything under the sun. And he said, I didn't. I said, I don't know anything. And he said, don't you think it's about time you learn? So he didn't think a thing of it. He went home, never thought it. And all of a sudden he gets a letter in the mail. And when he was in the Army, they asked him to leave because he was always smoking pot and just, he was always in the brig and shit, So he went out below and buck private, man. They asked him to leave. So he gets a letter, and they reinstate him back into the service at level of a colonel. And he's gone over doing his reconnaissance in a helicopter because he was looking at things and writing out reports on things that he saw, and because he had this great thought process, right? And he's doing this for about a month, 2 months, and all of a sudden he's off there and they're shooting at him. And he said, this is no good. And so he gave some calls that they got sent home. And he's home about a month. And he gets a phone call from Howard Hughes, who he was very close to. And Howard Hughes, and all Howard Hughes said to him was, do you know about Vietnam now, Robert? He put the whole thing together. He said, and I said to him, was the guy? He said, Jack, he was an incredible guy. He said, because he used to go down to RKO when Howard Hughes bought RKO, Mitchum would go down and sit with him at night, and they'd talk about production and stuff. And he said, and Howard was always reaching for the phone before it rang, and he said, this is bullshit. I'm going to catch this guy up. So he gets a guy outside, he gives him a couple of nickels and the phone number, and he tells him to call the number at a certain time. And he's sitting there rabbiting with Howard Hughes. He looks at his watch and he's waiting. And before the phone even rang, Howard Hughes reached for the phone and looked at Mitchum and said, "Why is this guy calling you here this time of night?" I said, "Well, I guess you figured out he was psychic, huh?" He said, "Son of a bitch." So he said he wanted Howard Hughes wanted him to run RKO Studios. And he said, "Howard, I'd have to get up before the actors. I don't think it'll work." But he was great. He was, when I went to work, I had never been on a movie set before. And he arranged for us to drive down in the same car. He lived up around the corner from where I was staying at. And they picked him up, and they came and picked me up. And he's in the lobby he has sunglasses on and a windbreaker, and he's got his foot up against the wall. And I come bouncing out through these glass doors, and nobody recognized him. Because that's what he was like, always like he was incognito. And I come bouncing down the steps, and he looked at me and said, "This must be Jackie O." And we became great. He was great. He just told me exactly what I needed to do. And
I grew up in a household that relished those old school movie stars, and I've been a fan of Golden Age movie stars. I know they call it the Golden Age, but it definitely truly was. I mean, the Hollywood during those times seemed magical from a person that was standing outside of it.
Well, the actors were different than these kids today.
Yeah.
And I remember the first shot I ever did. The first shot I was, we got there to set, we got dressed, and standing at the bottom of the steps. I don't know if you ever see Farewell, My Lovely?
Yes.
It's a great movie. Well, when we walk up into that bar, in the beginning, we walk up to the bar, we're looking for Velma. And we're standing at the bottom of the steps, and Mitchum looked at me, he said, "Well, have you read that script, kid?" I said, "Read it." I said, "I know your role, Charlotte's role, I know everybody from base." He said, "Good, throw it in the trash." I said, "What?" He said, "Don't let me catch you doing like thousands of people here acting. Just take that character, put yourself in his pants, and walk down the street like you, and be yourself." He said, "You've been a gangster all your life, and you're playing a gangster, so it'd be a cakewalk for you." And so we went up and did the very first shot, and they were moving the cameras around and everything. And I said, "What's the deal? What's going on?" He said, "You really don't know." I said, "I'm asking you a question." He said, "That's it, kid. That's the whole enchilada." I said, "Are you kidding me? That's all there is to this shit?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, I'm a star." That became like a tagline for the film, So, and he said, I asked him, I said, "What is the definition of a star?" He said, "It's very simple, kid. It's a word called presence."
Yes.
Some people have it on the screen and other people don't. Mm-hmm. And they can't teach it to you. You either have it or you don't. And I just was lucky enough that I have this presence, and he said, the camera loves you or it doesn't love you, point blank. And he taught me how to look right through the camera. Don't even look at it, but it'll find you. And he was right. He said, you look at a picture like Brando does, or I do, or Gregory Peck, and no matter what movie they do, no matter what role they play, when people come out of the theater and say, "Oh man, wasn't Marlon great when he did this?" Or wasn't Gregory great when he did that? And then you get an actor like Bill Holden, who was a pretty good actor, but people walk out of the theater and they say, boy, that guy really, what was his name?
Yeah.
They just don't have that presence, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And some people have it, some people don't. And it's just one of the things, like I said, they can't teach you in any acting school. It's just there. You either do or you don't.
Yep.
So it worked out pretty well. Farewell was a great film. I was the first mistake I made in Hollywood. Mitchum set up a meeting for me and Johnny Carson, and I met him at the Polo Lounge. and he was going to, if I did his show, he would have got me nominated for supporting actor that year. And I said, but your show is live, isn't it? He said, yeah. I said, well, I don't think I can do it. He said, what? I said, well, I'll come on the stage. You're going to ask me about my father, and I'll ask you where the men's room's at. He said, you'd get up and leave? I said, yeah. I don't allow people to talk about my father. I don't talk about that side of my life. And he said, well, no, we'll rearrange the questions. We'll make sure that we don't. I said, John, you are the #1 news reporter in all of Hollywood. John. You have Albert Anastasia's son on your set, and you're not going to ask me about my father? Do I look like I fell off a turnip truck? No disrespect, man, but And then Mitchum screamed at me. He said, are you crazy? He said, you dumbass. He said, this is Hollywood. They love that shit. They eat it up. What, are you nuts or what? What's the matter with you? And then it dawned on me that he was telling everybody anyway. Not about me. I said, oh, man.
So there's another story that comes out of Farewell, My Lovely with the one Sylvester Stallone, and there's a little urban legend out there that you might be able to put to bed that you are actually the basis for Rocky.
That was the truth. That was my life. I was the gangster in Philadelphia, and he'd never been to Philly. Well, he was there, I think, for a semester at school. His mother was married to a wise guy from Florida with a lot of money. Sly went to school in Switzerland. And when he was doing the script and he sat there, he picked my brain every day. I told him about the waterfront. I told him about the bookmakers. And the gym was a gym that we did in South Philly, past Yonke and Moore. We had to walk up these creepy old steps and shit, but some great fighters trained there. And then they used the Main Street gym downtown LA for the inside of the gym because it was a lot bigger than what we had. And but he had never, he didn't know anything about gangsters and shit like that in Philly and stuff. And he picked every day he picked my brain. You see him in the morning when he was putting the eggs, raw eggs, that he got that from me. I do that still today.
Wow.
I did that every day of my life. 6 raw eggs I eat every day.
That statue should be you and not him.
Yeah, I was about to say, first class education on like a worldwide franchise right there.
But wow. God bless him. That's all.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so cool.
That's really cool.
I gotta jump to a movie or a franchise in general. Obviously, best known for Superman. I'm willing to profess, like Superman 2, especially like the fight scenes, because 6-year-old Corbin loved that stuff. I watched again and again and again. And I, growing up and having a different perspective of your acting, I've heard that you basically put a lot of the character traits of Non, as far as him having like a childlike presence and being.
Well, that was the whole deal. When I flew, I was doing a picture with Hackman. We were doing March or Die down in Spain, and we flew up to meet Donner because they offered me the movie, and I flew up to sit down with Donner, and we're talking about the character, and Non was originally like a genius scientist that they lobotomized. He said, so the guy is a mute. Do you mind playing? And I said, no, because Jackie Gleason was a friend of mine, and he did a picture called Gigo that he won an Oscar for. And I said, if I ever got a chance to play a character like that, where you're using body language and facial expression, I'm going to embrace it. And Non was a perfect character because Zod was a vicious general. Mm-hmm. Sarah was a man-eater. Somebody had to relate to the kids because it's a big child audience. So I said, I'm going to take this huge, brutish guy, and I'm going to play him like a child. Learning how to work his eyes and with the child mannerisms and stuff, adoring Zod and shit like that. And it worked. That came off pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my favorite scenes was you where Zod, where they had entered that small town, and now practicing his heat vision on the barn and with one of the kids looking along.
Oh yeah. Besides the kid,
yeah, he was focused and was so proud when he did it. It was fun. What was it like working with members of the cast? Obviously, Christopher Reeves, but also like Terrence Stamp and Sarah Douglas.
Terrence is a brilliant English actor. The guy is renowned. And Sarah was young, but you could see she had a talent. She was gorgeous, and she had that ballsiness about her. So it worked out really well. And when you work with people for a couple of years, you become like a family. And and working with Terrence and Sarah was a treat. I mean, it was, and Brando was brilliant. I mean, there's some great actors in Superman. Even the people that played the judges and all. Trevor Howard, and a few real stalwart English actors. Maria Schell, I mean, European woman actor. Geez, they had some brilliant people in the picture. So it gelled. It really worked well, you know. And Brando's Brando. He was a trip.
I feel like Gene Hackman is one of the stars of that film that doesn't get enough credit for his role in it. I mean, Gene Hackman in that role was
he was brilliant. Gene's a great actor. He's methodical. I mean, Gene really, when they fired Donner, Gene wouldn't come back, and I blame that on Christopher. Christopher should have stood up and said, "No, Donner, no me," and they would have had no choice. They didn't want to pay him. That was the problem. And the same as, how do you cut Marlon Brando out of a picture?
True.
Right.
And they cut him out of 2 because they didn't want to pay him, and they already paid him to do 1 and 2 for the footage, but they didn't want to pay him the points that he had, you know. So, I mean, who cuts? And when you see the Donner cut's much better. I don't know if you ever saw the Donner cut.
Yeah.
And Brando's in through all that footage that was already shot, you know. But you don't see when the Lester cut, Hackman never came back. He just said nope, thanks for no thanks. And so a lot of his stuff was back. It was behind. You see a guy from behind. A couple scenes. But most of they used the stuff that Donner shot of Hackman, what they put in there.
Oh, wow.
I've heard that, and through that whole shooting, that Christopher Reeves kind of walked around very arrogantly and like a new actor.
You gotta understand something. You know, he was young. It was the first big movie he ever did. And he should kiss Donner's feet every day of the year because Donner got a performance out of him. You'll never see another Superman like that kid did. He did the Superman Clark Kent switch over brilliantly. And that was Richard Donner that did that. And when he first came on the set, he only weighed like 170 pounds. And they built him up. And when they were building him up, I talked to the guy who did Darth Vader. I forget his name. He was the bodybuilder. And I said, you know, don't pump him. Cut him up like Steve Reeves, definition-wise, because he would never wear anything underneath the kid. So he wanted to mold his body to make it look like it was the natural. So he put on like he get up to 200 pounds, like 30 pounds of weight, but it was put on him properly. And he looked great. You know, it just worked really, really well. I mean, he did the character, somebody just walked around like that all day. That was the problem.
Well, yeah, you guys almost came to blows, from what I understand. You almost lit him up, and Donner stepped in.
The story, you know, the thing gets so blown out of proportion. You know,
set the record straight.
There was a restaurant in town, Italian restaurant in town, on Beecham Place, San Lorenzo, and they were friends of mine. It was the first Italian restaurant in London. So I used to eat dinner. I lived down the street at Cadogan Square, and I used to walk up and eat dinner there every night because a lot of friends of mine used to go there as well. And I used to tell all the people from the crew and everything, God, you guys got to come in. This restaurant's brilliant, because the food was brilliant. And it became a big paparazzi place. Diane used to go there and everybody. So everybody used to go in and have dinner in there. And Chris was in there one night with Hackman and a bunch of people. And he's talking about me and my father in New York and things he doesn't know anything he's talking about. And the owner of the restaurant called me on the phone and said, Jack, how well do you know this Christopher Reeve kid? And I said, well, what's the problem? He said, well, he's in there talking like he's a long lost cousin of yours, talking about your exploits in the mafia and all this. I said, you shitting me? He said, no. So the next day I went to work and I grabbed him and I said, yeah, we need to have a conversation, Sonny. And I took him into a room. And I said to him, I said, you know, how well do you think you know me, kid? Well, I just hear all these stories about you. I said, what gives you the right? You know, to talk? And I told him, I said, the next time you mention my name, put Sir behind it. Understand that? And you ever talk about my father again, and, you know, that's a bad idea. So we came to an understanding. And then as soon as we got in the hallway, went outside, he started this, you can't talk to me that way. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. like he was Superman, you know. And I grabbed him and I threw him against the wall. And I was just getting ready to whack him, and Donner jumped up in my ear. He said, "Not in the face, Jack. Don't hit him in the face." So I bucked out laughing. I just dropped him on the floor. You don't know how lucky you are, kid. And you know, then you let it go. You know, you just because you got to work together for the rest of you. So it just, you know, we never became the greatest of friends, but he was a friend. He was a good. You can't not be friends when you work like that on a film.
True.
You know.
True. Wow. That's the story.
Cool.
What was your feeling about the direction as well? Once you had mentioned Donner and Superman franchise after that, were you also like, okay, this is a wrap as far as just the quality of it and being a part of that?
If Donner would have finished 2, he'd have done 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because he still does the comic books today. He loved the franchise. He and Mark Mankiewicz were just up over their ears with it, you know. So they would have been a whole different franchise. Wow. And that's the sad part. Who got cheated was the fan base, and the Salkinds were just money whores. You know, they didn't care. They just they made a lot of money, and they weren't looking at the future. You know, which you would think if they were real producers they would have. You know, but and Warner Brothers ought to be spanked as well, because you know they were, and at that time they were like we were shooting 2. We really got into 2, and we had shot like 85% of it when we had to stop because you had to deliver 1, and he had to do some end shots with it, and Donner got hooked up into doing 2. So Saul kind of said, "Whoa, man, you gotta give it." So Warner Brothers came over to the studio and they said, "Well, you know, you guys are going to be late bringing it in." He said, "You know, maybe we don't pick up 2." And Salkind being Salkind said, "Well, does that mean that I can shop around for other distributors?" And they said, "Yeah, why not?" And they thought because he was asking for another $15 million, and he put a whole bunch of distributors in a theater, and I was sitting there, and he brought the fight scenes out and showed the fight scenes. Warner Brothers couldn't get the rubber bands off the money fast enough. Because, you know, we broke technology rules with those shots. We did something that was never done before. That wasn't just CGI. We weren't on wires with that. We shot VistaVision on VistaVision. We're up on this big 70-foot screen with poles coming through the screen, and they shot us into the movie. That's why it looks so great flying under bridges and around buildings, you know, and the fight scenes were brilliant. My God, they were.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the movie stands up today. It's a great film.
I was going to say that's the best parts.
One of the scenes I have to ask about, because I laugh every time I see it, and the cellophane S. Was there ever a time filming this movie when after Donner had exited,
that was
where
Lester's idea.
Yeah, where when Lester took over, that you were like, this is ridiculous. Like that.
Well, he was like a television actor. I mean, Lester did everything in the laboratory. And for instance, when they shot in Paris at the Eiffel Tower, yeah. Mm-hmm. If you ever look at the film again, you'll look real look at it, and those scenes, because Margot's coming up and the cops, you know, she's trying to con the cop to get up the tower, and you see raindrops hitting the guy. It was pissing rain that day. You look at the cop car and the windshield wipers go back and forth, but yet it looks sunny out in the film because Lester just went ahead and shot it, and then he went in the laboratory and boom, you know, cleaned it up, made it look like sunshine and stuff. And it was, but that was his way of doing things. He would make so many shots and cover shots, and he'd go in and in the editing room and he'd patch it together. Where Donner was on the money, boy. He was just.
And in that specific scene, you can kind of tell, because I rewatched it recently, and when they're at the Eiffel Tower and the terrorists, the words don't fit the mouth, and when they're talking, so you can kind of see that it was cut over and re-edited.
Oh no, that's Richard Lester shit.
Yeah.
And look at when if you ever see it again, you want look at the windscreen wipers on the cop car. They're going back and forth, and the cop's got spots on his shirt from the raindrops.
It's a shame because the quality definitely did drop dramatically after 2, which to my mind was like the pinnacle of it. I mean, 1 was solid, but I loved 2. And after that, it was just.
Well, a lot of 2 was Donner, but
Mhm.
Lester, for a director to put his name on a script on a film,
Mhm.
you have to shoot 50% of it.
Oh.
So he had to come back, and which for us was great because we worked another year and a half or something, you know. But he had to come back and reshoot a lot of stuff. But then he interfaced Donner stuff, so to make 2 was a good movie, but too much comedy in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they wanted to make it. They wanted to make it more campy, as the popularity of the Batman TV show with Adam West, if I'm correct, right?
Well, that's what if you watch the Donner cut, that's not there. It's a much
Yeah, it was a lot more grounded.
neater,
Serious. Yeah.
much neater film. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because I noticed that on
It
rewatch
was,
that
it was great. They were great films. you
I've
know.
noticed that a couple times on rewatches that, like you said, there's issues where like it's like audio's thrown in places where it doesn't look like it belongs, and kind of just the way that with the internet and people study film now, anybody can kind of pick that up nowadays. Just where you can kind of see what was kind of dubbed over. So
Yeah, you can if you're astute and you're watching it. You know, but everybody gets caught up in the whole spectacular of Superman. So, you know, and he was the first American superhero. So, and then when they after Superman 3 and 4 was diabolical. Then when they come out with what they're doing now, they changed the costume. They took away the all-American way. They Superman all of a sudden starts killing people, you know, and that shit should not have happened. So we're thinking of doing. We have an idea to do another Superman and change the franchise back to where we can bring Christopher back because of the technology today. With the hologram deal, we can bring Christopher Reeve back. And we have a great storyline to bring 3 villains and Christopher back.
That would be interesting.
Wow.
yeah, that'd be very.
No, I got a great storyline. It really, really works well.
How familiar were you with the Superman character before you took the role and signed on to Superman 1? Did you kind of read the comics as a kid?
Well, I didn't know about Non at all. Everybody read Superman comics when you were a kid. I mean, that was, if you read any comics, they were like Star Pupil comics then. That was, like I said, the first superhero in American history was Superman.
So what kind of drew you to that role of Non then? Just that they kind of let you
Just
play
the fact
him
that
any way you
I
could?
was playing a mute guy that I could do what I wanted, you know, that I could play him like a child. And I knew that was going to, and I had so many people. I remember the first Comic-Con I did it, people come up to me and they said, my God, you can actually talk? And then the kids would come up and they'd say to me, oh my God, your character frightened me so much, but I love the character. Oh my God, because it related to him like a child.
Mm-hmm.
So evidently what we did worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So I'm sorry, Matt.
I was just gonna say I want to know how fun was it the day that you got to go in to shoot and they're like, all right, this is a scene where you get to just bust up the Daily Planet. You just get to blow through everything. Were you excited on that day?
I tell you that, I really had a good time with that because I did all my own stunts. And and when we walked through the wall, they had cut out parts of the thing, and the guy had a jack that it was supposed to explode it and everything, and the jack never went off. So I did all that with myself, just busted right through. And then the jack went off afterwards and hit me in the arm, and I never said a word. I just walked through the scene. And the guy the prop guy, he got white and he ran because it hit me in the arm. And he said, "Oh my God, he's going to kill me." I turned around and said, "Where is that kid?" And the guy said, "You can see the white of his ass running down the hallway." I think he went to lunch real early.
Yeah. So in any of your roles, obviously talking about some of the roles you've had, is there any that you particularly wanted to get and didn't? I know we referenced, I think, Jaws before, but any role that you, looking back, wish you had either accepted or looked into or considered?
Well, the Bond picture, I didn't like the character, and I didn't want to get into being just that big dumb guy all the time. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't. If it was Sean Connery doing Bond, I probably would have done the picture. You know, there was a Burt Reynolds picture that I turned down, and I wish I didn't turn down. And there was a picture that I was doing King Kong, and they came to me to do a picture with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, the train robbery thing, and it was, and we had a couple weeks off while they were in New York, and I was sitting at the beach in Hermosa Beach, and I could have went 5-6 weeks up to Canada and shot this picture, and I wish I had done it. I should have done it because Paramount made me a great deal. If they would have done that, I had a great script that I wrote that they would have done, and I would have done a couple other pictures for them. And, you know, you become like a house actor and stuff. And I should have done it. Period. So I made a few mistakes in my career, but I generally picked stuff that I wanted to do, you know. But there were a couple pictures that I wish I would have done, that I should have done.
That is interesting.
Did you take many of your roles based on the cast that you were working with, like the supporting cast, people you want to work with, like Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd and Dragnet?
When they offered, Mankiewicz did Dragnet, and when he offered me Dragnet, and Tom Hanks, that was his coming out of the picture, you know, that was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a great kid, and Danny Aykroyd's a trip. I mean, you could watch Dragnet 50 times and still not get all the one-liners that he throws out. And I love the script. It was, you know, I said, wow, this is going to be we'll have a good time doing this. And we did. And it was a nice little film, you know. It was just like the one picture I did that should have gotten, but the AFCO Embassy didn't have the money to promote it correctly, was the Baltimore Bullet. Because Jimmy Coburn and Omar Sharif was in it. It was Bruce Boxleitner's first picture. And we actually shot the 9-ball tournament on MGM's studio lot that year. So every pool hustler in the world was there. And Newman came down and watched us play and Jimmy Coburn was a pretty good pool shooter. So we had a lot of fun doing that in New Orleans. And Omar Sharif was a trip. He's another great actor, you know. So I've been very fortunate in my career to work with some pretty good actors, you know. Thank God.
Like Chuck Norris.
Yeah, Chuck, we did Hero and the Terror, and it was probably the best film that he ever did as an actor, you know. And again, they ran it. They didn't have the money to promote that properly, because it was a pretty good little movie, Hero and the Terror. And that's another character that I did, you know, that was played with facial expressions and stuff, because the guy was a mute guy. He didn't have a hell of a lot of dialogue, you know. But I remember doing a scene where I was coming in the garage, walking down the track, and the woman I was with was sitting down there on the set, and I walked up and I turned around and came down in character and scared the shit. She said, "I don't think I could ever play with you again." My God, I scared the shit out of her. Because you fall into character and stuff. It was different, you know. But yeah, I liked Hero and the Terror was a good picture for me. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it. And Chuck was a good guy to work with.
So tell us a little bit about your time on the Flintstones film. You worked on the first Flintstone. You played Yeti.
You know, I'll tell you, that film really ticked me off because it's the first time I ever had any footage ever cut out of a movie. And they came to me to do a commercial for a hamburger joint because we did these great scenes at the gate with Rosie O'Donnell and all interfacing, and it was really worked out. They're really great scenes, and they cut them out to make room for Liz Taylor.
Oh,
Liz Taylor was in the picture, and the director was a schmuck. You know, anytime you get a guy that shoots 40-to-1 ratio, you know, I mean, he made Lester look like a schoolboy. And that really ticked me off. So it wasn't a great big role, but it had some great scenes in it that made me want to do it, you know. And John Goodman's a good kid. I liked him. It was, and it was a great, it could have been a much better movie than it was.
So I want to kind of circle back real quick to your book. You mentioned many times at the interview that you didn't like talking about your father, and you didn't like when people try to bring up your father. What kind of finally made you want to write that book?
Well, I sat down with a bunch of friends of mine, and I said, I'm tired of all the stories that threw us under the bus. And it's time to tell the truth, because America really wants the truth. And if you ever read the reviews on Amazon of the book, you'll see some 90-year-old
They're fantastic.
guy.
Yeah.
This 90-year-old guy from New York wrote a great review. He said, this book is got so much truth in it, and all the characters' names are there, and all the stories from the New York newspapers are all real. He said, because I lived it. I was there. I lived it, and it was about time somebody told the truth. So it's time that we do this. And I have a lot of friends of mine that, people tried to put them away all their lives. And I said, we might as well get paid for telling the truth.
Definitely clearing the air and showing people this is actually what it was, instead of, the game of everything.
I was born in Philadelphia, and in a neighborhood, not in the suburbs and big house, but in a row home in a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And we never locked our front door. Kids played in the street from sun up to sundown. No one ever bothered them. You could leave a baby pram outside. No one ever touched it. I mean, in the summertime, it was too hot to sleep indoors. So people used to sleep in the yard outside. They put mesh things around for the mosquitoes, and they slept outside. No one ever bothered anybody, because the neighborhoods were run by people. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think of committing certain crimes, man. It was not a good idea, because you would forget about the cops. You had to answer to other people. If you tread on the wrong toes, man, you had a problem with it. So it was a whole different. It was, and there wasn't drive-by shootings, and there wasn't all this. I mean, I remember the first time I think I ever saw a gun in the street. It was a King Sussex playground in Southwest Philadelphia. A guy had a zip gun. It was a homemade zip gun. And it was the first gun I think I ever saw. I was about 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
So, and I understand that you also have connections, and you personally knew Jimmy Hoffa.
I knew Jimmy well. Yeah, Jimmy was a good guy. I like Jimmy a lot. And you look at this picture they did, the Irishman. That's total bullshit. That was total Hollywood taking advantage of conspiracy again, about stories that no one ever put an answer to. Yeah. And I knew Frank Sheeran very well. Frank was a driver for Hoffa, and Russell Buffalino was a great. I love Russell. Russell used to come watch me fight in Scranton. I knew Russell very well, and Billy Buffalino, who was Hoffa's lawyer, and so Jimmy was a man's man. Jimmy, you had to love Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy would never ask you to do what he wouldn't do himself. And what they put him in jail for was total bullshit. That was Bobby Kennedy. To get him for $8,000. I mean, there was no pension fund until Hoffa. Hoffa created the pension fund. He took men who was working 16, 18 hours a day. Not only did they load and unload the trucks and drove them, they did everything, and he changed all that. He made driving trucks across the country a big time job. There's guys make 6 digits a year doing that. There's lawyers that quit practicing law just to be out in the sunshine driving a truck, and he did that. That was Hoffa. So to say that he stole $8,000 from the pension fund to fix his house, that was a crock of shit. He never would have done it, never had to do it. So and when he went away, he thought he was only going in for a short time and coming right out. He thought the deal was going to be done. And he didn't realize that he backed the wrong guy for president. And he did a few years in there, But I remember the day he went away, trucks lined up all the way to Lewisburg, beeping their horns while he was driving in the cop car. They were taking him to jail, man. All these truckers were blasting their horns and stuff as he drove by. So Jimmy
helped him out so much.
Say what?
I said, yeah, they helped him out so much.
Yeah, Jimmy was. I liked Jimmy a lot. I had a lot of respect, but he was his own worst enemy. When he came home, he created a headache for himself, and he's not buried anywhere. Nobody's ever going to find him. So, and Sheeran certainly didn't kill him, and Sheeran never killed Joey Gallo. That's a bunch of pop too. That's just Hollywood. You know?
Wow.
So when you say he's not buried anywhere, you think that someone just knows where his remains are, and they're.
I know exactly where he's at. Yeah. I know where he's at. They're never going to find him.
That's crazy.
Never going
In one spot or multiple spots.
Well, let's say he was scattered around. You know.
Yeah.
I feel you. I got you.
So crazy, those types of things. Wow.
But he was Jimmy was a man's man. I like Jimmy. Jimmy was okay. And I went across country with him. We took care of him, made sure he was all right. Because we were doing union business in those days. And just traveling. And I watched him. You know, he was so dynamic and so positive, and he created a huge union. I mean, they were.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why the Kennedys wanted him out of the way is because he controlled a big vote. He was like the vote machine, man. There were a lot of Teamsters that voted.
Mm-hmm. He had a big influence.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
So, kind of going back on your fighting career a little bit, we talked about you had multiple fights set up with Ali. What kind of happened with those falling through? Was it
First time we were supposed to fight was when he fought Norton, and I was California heavyweight champion. I was living in San Diego, and he called me on the phone one day, and he said to me, "You got to do me a favor, man." I said, "Listen, I'll do a favor. Sign a contract to fight me." He said, "No, we can work that out, but you got to get." And I was fighting his brother Rockman, and he said, "You got to get my brother out of boxing, man. It's an embarrassment to me." And I said, "Rockman Ali's your brother?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "You got." So I figured, oh shit, I better go to the gym a couple of days. and I knocked Rockman out, and he never fought again. He wasn't a bad fighter. He ran and grabbed too. He was just anyway. Thought he was his brother with speed, but he didn't have. Muhammad Ali, any sport he would have done, he would have been great. He was a great athlete, far enough. And so I knocked his brother out. We made a deal. We had a place down in the convention center. It was owned by a Canadian guy. We gave Ali 40% of everything. It was a great deal for him. And Norton was owned by two millionaires, Bob Byron and Art Rifkin. And they went to Chicago with a suitcase full of money and gave it to Herbert Muhammad. And Ali fought Norton. And he called me on the phone crying. He said, "I don't know how to tell you this." He said, "But I had no control over it." He said, "It's really a lousy deal, and I'm sorry, but this is what it got to be." And I said, "Okay." So that fight was out, and then another time we were supposed to fight in Australia, and he fought Joe Bugner instead because of money or some other shit, I don't know. And then I beat Alvin Blue Lewis in Detroit, who was ranked number 2. And then Blue Lewis was getting ready to fight Alvin. Blue Lewis lost to him in Ireland, 13 rounds he went. And then he came home and he beat Terrell and he beat another guy. And they called me in San Diego. They said, "You want to fight Alvin Blue Lewis?" And I said, "Can you get my license back?" Because they'd taken my license in San Diego for organized crime. And he said, "Yeah, no problem. We'll give you a license, no problem. You take the fight." I said, "Yeah." It was like on a 7-8 day notice, And I went up to Detroit, and I beat Alvin Blue Lewis to death. I really beat him bad. And in fact, it was funny because we got paid, I think, something like $3,500 for the fight or something, which was unbelievable. But we made $95,000 betting every round around the ring. I had a guy bet every single round. The guy said, "Jack, realize you're in Detroit. This is his hometown. I said, you bet every single round I'm going to beat this guy from one end of the road to the other. And then I went up to camp to see Ali. And I just beat Blue Lewis. And I said, okay, Pappy, let's get this thing on. This guy's number ranked 2 in the world. I said, you know what? It's the second time I've done this. Let's play. And he said, yeah, man, we'll try and work something out here. And he sat down. He sat down, and we were into the boxing room in the back, and all the reporters were in the front room. And he shut the door, and he said, listen, just come over. And we're kicking the door like we're fighting and all this shit. We're yelling at each other. And all these reporters are the other side thinking there's a big donnybrook going on, you know. He's a showman and a half. He screamed, you can't hit me, white boy. What do you think you're doing? Back and forth and shit like that. And then we come out laughing like hell. And we sit down to have dinner, and he looked at me. He said, listen, if I give you a fight, he said, are you really going to try and beat me? I said, let me tell you something. For the first time in my career, I will go to camp like you do. And I will spend 8 weeks away from everything and everybody. And when I come in that ring, you better bring a gun with you. 2 steaks, please.
Oh, wow.
He was one, you know, Ali was just an amazing individual. And if you ever met him one-on-one, he was a total different person. He was smart as a whip, boy.
So
good guy.
I have to ask. You said at the beginning that he's the reason you got into boxing. You said you could beat him. You both fought George Foreman. I got to ask, one-on-one, Jack O'Holler and Muhammad Ali, who wins?
That's good.
It would have been a hell of a fight. I mean, when I fought Foreman, I did it on a week's notice. And I walked into a punch, and I got up, and they stopped the fight right away, which really pissed me off, because if you ever see the tape of that fight, I was beaten in the first couple of rounds. And he knew it too. George was very glad they stopped the fight. And George and I are good friends. And he gave me a list one day of the 10 hardest hitters that he ever fought. I think I was number 4.
Nice.
That was only his 15th professional fight, right? That you guys went toe to toe, and you went 5 rounds, right? Yeah.
I walked into a punch, my own fault. You know, I walked into a punch, but I got up, and that's what really pissed me off. They stopped the fight right away, and I said, "Whoa, wait a minute." Wow. But it is what it is, you know.
Wow, that's the story, man. All from the boxing to the movies to this family.
I know, you lived like 9 people's lives.
Yes. Each one its own book. Like, you could honestly put like volumes of this stuff together, from the boxing career, the family history, the acting, and the anecdotes and stories from that. Like,
we're building a studio. I'll tell you what, we're building a studio in Nevada. 4 million square foot studio. It's going to be the biggest studio in the history of the business. Something that should have been done 30 years ago. And for the first time, we're going to put everything under one roof. And from films to music to streaming to television, we're going to have 110 sound stages. Everything under one roof. Every technology that there is in man's creation in the industry. And we're building a smart city right next to it that'll house 25,000 people who will work at the studio. So they only have to go 15 minutes to work.
Wow.
That's my kind of commute.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm doing a film today, I live in Redondo Beach. If I got to go to Warner Brothers to do a movie, I got a 2-hour drive each way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So what we do is we get an apartment or something and stay up in town, depending on how your work schedule is. But it's, you know, and technicians have a hard time. They got to drive way from different areas to get to work. So you're putting pressure on people. So to make it much cost effective to build this place like this, and then a smart city next to it, and they only have 15 minutes to go to work, boy, their heads are clear. You know, you're going to get better volume of work out of them. And we're going to we have 2,000 acres of property, so we're going to put some old sets on the outside and build things so that guys doing little films, like, you know, from 500,000 up, they have a place to do it without having to run all over the place, getting permits and shit like that. And the technology, we're going to have the greatest. I mean, I'm so looking forward to this.
I was going to say, how long has this project been in development? The studio.
It's amazing how fate works. My partner and I were going to build a place in LA. We had the greatest building to do it in Long Beach. And 208, we had all the money, we had everything ready to go, and the world fell apart in 208 financially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just poof, everything disappeared. And thank God, because in Nevada, we have a much better deal. We have a better tax deal. We have a better deal. I mean, the industry will move to Nevada. And when we put everything under one roof like that, we will have companies from all over the world wanting to come and play there. So it's going to be a much better. And like I said, you got 15 minutes to go to work. You have a great brand new city, and we'll have housing and everything, and we'll hold the mortgages for people, and we're going to make it affordable because all them people make 6 digits a year. If you got a buzzing studio that's buzzing, they're all going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And you just make it so applicable for them mentally, and put schools there for their children and everything. And all the problems in Las Vegas with meth and all that shit, I will keep that out of there. And then we will put a ring around the rosy.
I get that.
Well, my last question for you is, with all your time in the industry and still being active, how has the industry changed, in your opinion, from when you began to current?
The people running the studios today are MBA guys. They don't have there's no depth. They run a studio for 3 or 4 years, rob a lot of money, and they leave. No one has any vision. Look at the property. Look what they're making. They're remaking everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's great scripts that are being handed in, and they pass them over because they don't know what they're doing. They really don't. And it's like we're getting ready to do this miniseries. We're going to do films, but you can only put so much into a 2-hour deal. So we're going to do a miniseries, turn it into a series. There will never be another series like this again because of what we're going to do. And the one genre, in other words, nobody has a crystal ball to tell you what's going to work in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But one genre of films that never loses a dime are organized crime pictures. Even the spoofs that they do make money.
The intrigue it's just too high.
Well, you get like they did a little picture. To me, it was a little story as far as organized crime is concerned. They did a picture a few years ago with Tom Hanks, Road to Perdition, about a hit guy that nobody ever heard of. A hit guy, and Paul Newman was in the picture. Tom Hanks was the hit guy, and he had his little kid. Picture did $1 billion.
Wow.
Because of the storyline. The
kid love mobster movies.
Yeah. Mobster movies make money. And, yes. The Godfather, there's no telling. Nobody will ever tell you how much money they've made off of that.
It's just the allure. It's just the.
But to do what we're going to do and to tell the truth, you see, you're talking about audiences, okay? Mm-hmm. So like the Amazon reviews of that old man, 90 years old, and a few other people like that. When we do this, you'll have an audience of people from 90 to 16. Mm-hmm. When I first wrote the book, I gave it to 4 high school kids to read. And they ran to the library and looked up some of the names and some of the incidences because they couldn't believe how real it sounded, and they wanted to find out. And they came back to me and they said, "Why don't they teach us this in school?"
They like to block certain things out.
Because they don't teach you history in school of the country. There's 3 guys sitting here. Let me ask you a question. What was the very first prohibition in America?
The 20s?
No, alcohol.
Nope.
It was tea.
Nope.
Oh, you said what? I said when.
You can look this up on the commute. 1914, they passed something called the Harrison Bill. The Harrison Bill gave Big Pharma power, created the drug business.
Oh, wow.
Harrison Bill, before the Harrison Bill was put in place, you could buy marijuana across the counter. No one ever said a word. Cocaine was in Coca-Cola. You could buy opiates across the counter. and there was no addiction problems. Understand?
Wow.
So when the Harrison Act came in, that meant doctors had to script everything, gave Big Pharma their power, and controlled over all drugs, prescription drugs. Yeah. Now here's your big problem. Women in that era, families never got divorced. They got married, they stayed married, they had 8 kids, 10 kids, and women they were housewives, they didn't go to work, and they were tired because they had all these kids and all this shit, and doctors gave them speed to wake up in the morning, Valium to go to sleep at night. And all those drugs are going in their body, and they're going in the babies' bodies. And addictions were being born. And no one ever said a word about it. And then we went through the 60s with rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll and shit. And 1970, they came out with a documentary called The Littlest Junkie, New York Hospital, because all these babies were coming in screaming and crying, and no one could figure out what was wrong. And one bright doctor said, those kids are going through withdrawal.
Yep.
They're going through drug withdrawal. Their bellies are cramping.
Wow.
You understand? And they only showed that documentary once. It was off the air, because the same as you're having with the CBD oils and everything now, Big Pharma is fighting like crazy. They kept marijuana and everything under lock and key for so long, and it's all bullshit. Just like hemp, we're going to build this studio out of industrial hemp, which is the best building material you could ever have in your life.
Dude, it's going to last forever.
Oh yeah, and it's better to work with. And if I can build a 1,200 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, tile floors, inlet, all made out of hemp. I can build that house in 2 weeks' time for $20,000. And the temperature inside will stay between 69 and 72 continually.
So well insulated.
Yeah.
And hemp grows so fast.
And it grows every 90 days.
Yep. It just
and the material is, if you go on Amazon, there's 2,000 products that hemp is involved in. And when the Indians built their teepees, you ever see Indian pictures? And the teepees where they lived in these teepees in the snow and the blizzards and all that shit? Because they were made out of hemp.
Yeah.
So there's just so many, and it was pushed aside in the 20s, and it's 1910 when steel and concrete pushed the hemp business aside.
I thought the oil companies helped do that as well.
Well, the oil business is going to change, because the biggest pollutant that we have in the earth is a combustible engine. And there's been alternative energies, but now they're starting to really come out with them. They're building cars with alternative energies, and they're putting stations in, and you're going to wind up getting 200 miles to a gallon of fuel for, which, and the combustible engine. There was a guy, and this is a true story. The guy was an engineer for, I think, Chrysler, and he did a manual on a manifold that just took in more air, because you blow 80% of a gallon of gas out your gas tank if you out the exhaust, because if you're not getting the right air mixture in there, you should be getting a couple hundred miles to a gallon of gas if you were mixing it right with the air. And when this guy put this manual out, they killed him, and the manual disappeared.
Well, yeah, we got to keep buying gas. 200 miles to the gallon, we wouldn't be buying a lot of gas.
Well, then you wouldn't have the smog that we got, and you wouldn't have the pollution that we have.
And there wouldn't be as much crude oil digging. There would be a very big ripple effect.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's much cleaner energy that's out there.
Yes, there is.
Tesla started it, and they're picking it up. It's there. It's been there. They've got solar energy. They've got molecular energy. It's just, it's all coming. They have cars running on stuff, but you're going to have cars that'll drive themselves pretty soon.
Can't wait. Then I have to pay for an Uber. I can go home from the bar, and it could just drive me home, and everything will be okay.
Boom, boom. Just push a few buttons. Damn, thank you, man.
I can just sit in the back seat of the car, take me home. I've had too many, and it'll just drive me home.
And you're done. That's a wrap.
That's it, Jack. then look at all that, your DUIs are getting loose. Oh my God. They'll find another reason to lock you up.
Well, Jack, we appreciate your time and sitting down with us and talking to us, and we don't want to keep you up any longer. You've lived a fascinating life. Do you want to go ahead and tell our listeners where they can find you, plug anything you've got coming up, anything where we can find out more about you and your
just go to
crazy life?
magazine.com. Just Google me. I mean,
The internet is a thing, right?
There it is.
no secrets
Now that's clout. Just Google me.
Yeah.
That's when you know you made it.
anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Just
thank
go
you,
to
sir.
Google.
I appreciate you coming
Hey,
on.
it's my pleasure, guys. Listen,
Thank you, sir.
all you's in Phoenix. Every one of you's in
Yep.
Phoenix.
We're all in Phoenix. Yep.
Wow, God bless you. You like it over there, Arizona?
It's hot.
It's miserable.
It's hot.
Let me tell you a funny story. I was going to San Diego one time, and I'm flying from Boston. Yeah. So they didn't have direct flights then. You had to stop in Phoenix, and then you went from Phoenix to San Diego.
Mhm.
And when the plane stopped, and we had like an hour or so layover, so I was walking out through the thing, and you know those big glass doors in the front of the airport over there.
Yep.
I remember I'm walking out, and I was going to take a walk outside. They opened up the doors, and this hot air came in. I said, "Holy shit, man!" It's like, take your breath away. I said, "Whoa, brother!"
Yeah.
And
And then I
said,
walk back inside.
Turn right around, went right back in.
Yeah, but it's it's a dry climate over there, so it's not too bad.
No, it's still miserable.
It's still miserable. Yep.
It's miserable. We're all a bunch of morons for living here.
California's a place to be, son. You know?
I mean, it's the quickest I can get down to Nevada. Once that place is done, the better. You know, that's how I look at it.
Nevada's that's going to be a great store, boy. And there'll be jobs for a lot of people, but technology-wise, shit, forget about it.
I'm taking that driverless car straight there, so I'll stay tuned.
It's going to be a kick, man. I mean,
That's how my buddy Jack invited me.
you just get a hold of me, man. We'll have 25,000 jobs. In fact, I did a deal with the university. They gave us the land because imagine having all the college graduates from all the classes that pertain to an entertainment industry. All these guys, I got a deal for them for the unions that while they're in college, every hour they intern on the set, it goes towards their hours in the union.
Nice.
So by the time they graduate, they're union members.
That is
You know
cool.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which for the union is great because they're college-educated kids making 6 digits a year. So how can you go wrong? So it's
Yeah.
good deal all the way across the board.
Sign me up.
Gotta get down
Great
there.
for the university, it's good.
Yes,
We're gonna
sir.
have a lot of fun.
Definitely. Looking forward to
If
seeing
you have fun, why not do it? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Shit. All right, you guys have a great night, man.
Thank you,
You
sir.
too.
Fun.
Good night.
so
Anytime you
much.
want to play, just let me know.
Absolutely.
Oh, we will.
We'll definitely have you back on.
This was
Hope
the
your audience likes the show.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure. Take care.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys, be well.
Yeah,
you
have a
too,
good night.
sir.
Oh, get out of here. They won't let me out. No, man. No. I'm innocent. Wait a minute.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, Jack O'Halloran, what an interview! What a great guy! And like Corbin said, man, he's lived an amazing life, like 9 people's lives, man.
dude. I was starstruck all the way to the end of that.
Yeah,
I've never been that quiet in my fucking life.
dude, that's how I was like, man, the chat's being quiet, everyone's being quiet, and like,
Dude, I think everybody was just so in
Yeah.
tune to him because I swear to God, our life sucked.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, God damn, my life is trash compared to his.
This motherfucker's Rocky.
Dude,
Not
between
only
that,
that,
and
but-
Muhammad Ali stories,
Yeah,
Punk
you
and
know.
Christopher Reeves, like
He was gonna be a professional football player. Didn't do that. Wanted to
Dude,
be a
there must have been
boxer,
2 people walking in front of him with magic glitter.
right?
Everything he did was just fucking came together.
Fought George Foreman. Was gonna fight Ali. Went on to punk out Christopher Reeves.
I
What-
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
make Superman 2. Do movies with Tom Hanks and Dan
Dude,
Aykroyd and
Dragnet is such an awesome movie.
so many actors. Did the Flintstones. God,
Such a cool guy. Such a cool guy. Great personality and like warm and it was that was cool.
I mean, you heard it here. Jimmy Hoffa's not dead. He's just everywhere. You know.
I've had that notion and that thought for a long time. He's not in one place. They probably did is they're in this little 2-seater plane, man, at about like skydiving level, man. And someone's just like, oops.
Right? And like, I mean, just think of Geraldo, if he would have released his book a few years earlier, Geraldo would have saved himself from looking like an idiot, huh?
Right.
And blowing it up, opening Jimmy Hoffa's safe and vault, and man, what an amazing guy.
Talk about like, you know how a lot of actors and a lot of people always say it's the right place at the right time. That dude was at every right place. One person that usually happens to people once.
Right.
Jack's like, you know what? I'm at like 15. Fuck you guys.
He should just bottle his sweat and let people spray it on him just to get that good luck. You know,
I want to just like rub next to him and hopefully some of that comes off on me and like, holy shit.
Like I was mesmerized by it. And I'm watching the chat. I'm like, nobody's saying anything. I don't know what's going on. And
nobody asked questions.
Yeah, and Michael Stout is like,
asked a couple, but
Michael Stout's like, I'm fucking loving this interview, and I'm like, that's awesome, man. That's so awesome. Like, what a life, dude. Fuck.
It was cool, man, because like I thought he was just gonna come on for 20 minutes. Wham, bam, thank you, man.
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck that. I am gonna sit here and I am gonna spread some motherfucking knowledge.
Hold court.
And Brian missed the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole hemp weed discussion. Yep. Brian wasn't here.
You would have loved it.
Dude, that's what happens when you have to go do another show.
Right.
Dude, that would have been it for him, dude. We'd still be talking about weed with Jack right now.
If Brian was here.
We would be on until 3:00 in the morning.
Talking about weed and cultivating weed. And
wow.
Just so much from his history, man. And
I hope he makes an audiobook and he's the one who reads it.
Yeah. Or all the interviews you can get, because that was
Jack, I will do it for you.
Or at least somebody approaches him about his life, man. Somebody approaches him to make a movie on his life.
Or he, with his own studio, makes his own. I mean, he has a life that's really worthy of it. Like, I mean, like, I don't know.
Me and Jack are friends now.
Yeah, you guys are buddies. You even said, he was like, I'll be like my buddy Jack sent me, and he said, man, hit me up. So,
dude,
you guys are pals now.
He doesn't understand that I am going to call that card. Jack?
And like
Jack!
There's clearly guy, you can tell he clearly has no fucks to give, because he's sitting here dropping all of this, laying it on the line to us, and he doesn't care. Yeah, he's like, nobody's coming after me, nobody's touching me.
I'm on motherfucking touchable.
Right?
Fucking that was in Superman 2. Who's gonna fuck with me?
Right? He's none, man. He's gonna.
Dude, all I know is it's.
He's gonna outlast your cellophane S. Dude. I want to watch, dude. Every time I watch that movie, I laugh at that part when Superman just out of nowhere takes the S off and throws it, and then they start teleporting around, and I'm just like, I have to know if this guy was just like, what the fuck is he talking about? Who crack pipe idea is this? Oh man,
that was good. That was just wow.
Single-handedly the best interview we've ever done.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually interview him. We just said, hey Jack, just talk.
Yeah, he just came in and he told us his story, man. He
was setting records straight. He was putting
not his first rodeo.
Yeah.
No.
He should be on like every 3 weeks. A story by Jack. He comes on, he tells one story, he entertains us. We sit here and fangirl out, and then he just leaves.
That was cool.
And he doesn't even tell us he's leaving. He just exits.
He's just out. He's like,
he doesn't have to fucking tell us he's leaving. He goes, as soon as he feels like he's done with his story, Motherfucker's gone. That is my coolest motherfucker.
He was sick. He was really sick.
Yeah.
That was a pleasure.
Brian's gonna come back, and I'm gonna be like, "Fucking Brian, you missed the whole week discussion, sucker. Go do your hot 10."
Right? You missed all the good stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we have another interview next week.
Yes, we do.
Well, can't say it's gonna surpass it, but I mean, looking forward to
Guys,
nobody's gonna exceed Jack. This is everybody. This is Jack.
We've got some good interviews lined up, and
that's exactly what we want.
We're gonna bring Jack back every 3 weeks.
Kyle definitely made a new friend, huh?
Dude, I mean, not only did we get like a history lesson and stuff that we all know about. It's not like he was some of this. I mean, there was tidbits and stuff in there that you got to hear because of personal experience, but they were experiences that the country, the world, it's there. Like everybody knew it was happening, and we got to hear his insight from him being kind of in that inner circle,
right
on the ground there.
It's just kind of cool. Like you don't get to hear it first person very often.
Exactly.
No.
It's so cool.
Wow.
I mean, we have 2 interviews that haven't dropped yet. We've done interviews all week. Brian did a fantastic interview yesterday with Larry Hankin. That's gonna come out.
I can't wait to see that one.
That one's gonna be
better than Jack, though.
No, but I mean they're on par. They're on par, man. I'm telling you, the Larry interview was fascinating as well.
It might be an 80 and 81. I don't give 115, dude. I don't give a fuck what you say.
I mean, I get you. He was a great personality. That was the best one I had the pleasure of being on while I was here.
Dude, it's and Gregory Schoen, you're an awesome interview too, but sorry, you've been replaced.
I think he would agree though.
We have
Ray Gun and Rascals.
We also did an interview with actor, director, and retired school teacher Bill Foster. That's going to come out. We just got to edit those up, but we've got some great interviews coming for you guys too.
Fear the Walking Dead, right?
Yep, he was on Fear the Walking Dead.
Did you talk to him about his uncredited scene? And
I did talk to him about Alita Battle Angel. Yes.
The fucking movie's so awesome. I wish I could have been in that interview because there were so many questions I would have asked him about that movie. Like, I love that movie there's something about that movie, and he's probably in it for like seconds.
Yeah, but he's a homeless guy. He's an extra.
But that movie, there's something that's so fucking cool about that movie. It'd just be cool to hear. I don't know. It's cool that, like, I'm not a big person that likes to watch, like when you watch a movie and then you watch the behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big person that likes to watch that on DVDs. But hearing it, like hearing Jack talk about it, it was just, you got to see it in a view that was like, I don't know. It made it interesting. Like watching it behind the scenes on a DVD, it's not that great, but just, I don't know. He's a good storyteller is probably what it is.
Yeah, and he has it's storytelling and also the industry know.
Whose mic is muted?
Mine.
It's not mine.
It was mine.
Okay, well, the industry know-how and also the background to give it. So you can tell a good story, but you also can back that up with the experience and knowing what you're talking about that I think only highlighted and made it even better. I don't know.
We didn't even get into lady friends with him.
No. We
sausage partied the shit out of that.
Hey.
We need to get him back on, and it's going to be only a lady friend episode.
All right.
Is that content for just that?
I bet you there is.
I mean, listen, I was just asking a question.
I don't know, but I bet you he's got some punani.
You want to ask him about his lady friends, huh? Oh, dude, I'm sure there's tons of it. I'm sure he was swimming in it when he was, because of his background and all.
When he said, yeah, so nonchalantly, like it wasn't a big deal. Sylvester Stallone picked my brain. It's about me.
Yeah,
what?
Right?
What? It reminds me of that.
Mad Cloud, bro.
It reminds me of what's his name that made Hostel. That's how he wrote Hostel. Was he was an extra on the set doing something, and that's when he wrote Hostel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Sylvester Stallone, he wasn't part of the movie. He didn't say he was part of the movie. He was just there.
Yeah.
No, well, Sylvester Stallone was in that movie.
Oh, he was talking like he wasn't in the movie.
No, he was in that movie, and he was saying that afterwards he was just picking his brain about Philadelphia and locations and his boxing career and all that.
Well, he got where Sylvester Stallone got it wrong was that is not how Jack talks.
No.
So he put his own little fucking spin on it.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, it's about me. I hope Sylvester Stallone gave you some goddamn money.
Right?
Hopefully, at least he got like a 50 spot out of it.
He gets some kind of kickback for it.
Something.
Like under the table, something.
About me, but I'm not sure. He had to have because he's not pissed about it.
Yeah. And
he didn't seem like the type to get pissed by a lot, though. He let a lot of stuff. It seemed like, water under the bridge. You know what I mean? But I'm sure he's in the credits or something.
He's like, he's just like, yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I'm
Rocky.
I'm Rocky. Like that's about my life.
Fuck off. I'm Rocky. Excuse me?
Yeah, right.
Like I was just like he caught me so off guard when he said, "Yeah, it's about me." Like in my brain, I was like, I know I should totally ask a question about that. I'm just gonna keep listening.
But yeah, like Kyle said, we have a great interview coming up next week. We have John Pierre Gianoli joining us. He is in the Ford versus Ferrari. He's an actor, rapper, comedian, impersonist.
Interview.
Oh,
we were talking about hemp and weed legalization and all that, dude. Because he said a lot of his studio he's building out of hemp.
Oh,
because it's
look at that face light up. Ooh.
Dude, you missed it, man. That's what you get for doing the top 10, dude. I'm telling you.
Well, hopefully a lot of people that were watching the top 10 will check out the show. I took a clip of our thumbnail and threw it up there on the screen. Made sure told everybody to come check it out. So hopefully that's an interview they don't want to miss because just for the first half of that interview, it was fire.
Dude, he talked to us about his relationship with Jimmy Hoffa.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, he told us Jimmy Hoffa's not in one spot, and I called it.
Oh yeah, they chopped him up and they put him everywhere.
He's
at a few places.
He's in a bunch of places.
Yeah,
Christopher Reeves, that was my favorite. Yeah, it was good.
I heard that one. That was great.
It was some good stuff.
And the fact that he said that they were responsible for the plane crash that killed John F. Kennedy Jr. Like that's so crazy, dude.
I love that.
He said he'll come on anytime.
Yeah, dude. Brian, him and Kyle are buddies now. Him and Kyle are best friends.
I let him know because I was like, hey, when that thing in Vegas is done, dude, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna say my buddy Jack. He's like, come on up.
He's like, hit me up, call me up. He's ready to go.
Awesome. That's great.
Again, another
building it out of hemp, man.
That's 2 days in a row. What was going to be a 30-minute interview turned into an hour and a half interview. So, exciting stuff.
Dude. Should we do that? Fuck the hot 10. We just keep talking about Jack.
Nothing as cool as Jack.
Dude, he's just a smooth motherfucker. He was just like, oh, you want to hear about boxing? Okay.
Oh, dude, you were talking about like the women thing. He crushed some poon, man.
Dude, the next episode is about him crushing vagina. That is no offense and no women out there that are listening to us, but we need to hear about his cock. I'm fucking sorry, but I want to know
cocktails, man.
Who he inserted himself into.
I'm betting right now Marilyn Monroe. Just the way his life is and everything is so crazy, Marilyn. And I bet you he nailed it before Kennedy did.
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. Yeah, there you go, dude. Just man,
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
what a life, dude. Like Corbin said,
Yeah,
man,
Stallone picked my brain. And
Yeah.
Rocky's about me.
yeah.
What?
That rumor that
Oh,
Rocky's.
he did. It's so awesome.
Yeah, that little rumor that Rocky's. That's not a rumor. Rocky's about me. Just yeah, it's about me. It's so nonchalant, dude. Just
So badass.
stone cold, man. What a cool dude. What a life.
Yeah, I'm gonna build my studio out of hemp.
I love it, man.
Just
Seriously.
man, I can't wait to see all the other hear about all the other stuff he's got in the inside track on.
I'm telling you, man. That I guarantee we just did the iceberg, the tip of the
I
iceberg.
think so.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So who are we doing for Ford versus Ferrari? What did he do in that movie?
He was in Ford versus Ferrari. His name is John Pierre Giginoli. I'm probably killing that last name, but he's coming on next week. He's an actor, a rapper, a comedian, an impressionist, a DJ, and a paranormal investigator. So we'll have
Are you
some fun.
fucking serious?
Yep. So we'll have some fun next
Oh,
week
this is
too.
gonna be so awesome.
So-
He might top Jack.
Yeah.
I am gonna tell. I cannot wait.
Now let's
to
drop some bars.
paranormal investigating and stories with him.
So
Very cool.
and like I said, we Brian did a killer interview again with Larry Hankin yesterday that we're gonna edit up and put out. That was
That
fantastic.
was so long. It's gonna be by itself.
Yep, and it was honestly so good that Larry specifically asked us to send him a raw copy uncut because he said he's never been asked those questions before. So
Look at
What
him.
did you
All
like?
right.
What
Go,
is one thing
man.
that you asked him then, Brian?
I just talked to him about growing up and shit. Yeah.
yeah,
Just the same shit that you talked about, Jack. I mean, I always think
Is
it's
it like a
fascinating.
baby arm with an apple and holding on to it.
no, he told cool stories about Larry David, and he
Oh,
told
yeah.
cool stories about Vince Gilligan and Breaking Bad, and he told cool
you
stories about
have-
him growing up.
If you have any aspects of trying to act or, enjoy learning about acting and stuff like that, or directing, filmmaking at all, this is going to be a cool interview for you, because he definitely talks about what it's like being an actor and being on set and stuff like that.
So I was looking over his IMDb today because I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and I was like, "This dude's got it figured out. He is in everything a couple times.
Yeah.
Everything.
Wait, when-
CSI to fucking
Friends.
to Friends to Seinfeld.
Billy
Like,
Madison.
He was the original Kramer.
Yep.
Well, here's the crazy thing is that he was on Friends for 5 episodes. He didn't
Yeah.
talk about this in the interview.
He
He
was
was
the
on
weird
Friends.
guy.
He was on Friends for 5 episodes.
Mr.
You have to
Heckles.
be on 6 to get residual back end
Oh,
payment.
that's fucked.
And could you imagine having residual back end payment on Friends?
Wow.
Oh, dude, he'd be in the money.
Oh,
In the money.
Hey,
1 episode away.
What else was he? He was in like,
Breaking Bad.
dude, Mr. Belvedere. He was an Alf.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he was in like
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
he was dude. I was like, this motherfucker was in everything.
Dude, he's
And he did, dude. How cool would that be, though? You're not locking yourself down, but you're making a good chunk of change, and you're just fucking popping in and out of shit, dude. Like, tell me how that's not fucking cool. You're just popping in and out of shit, doing your thing. I mean, Billy Madison, and fucking Breaking Bad.
dude, yeah, and he worked with every comedian, the who's who, the biggest comedians of the 80s and 90s. He was in movies with.
Yeah. He talks about being on the road with Miles Davis.
Yep.
Really?
Opened for Miles Davis. He
What
talks
a
stories
great-
about Miles Davis hanging out with the Kennedys, and while I'm not gonna, I won't ruin it.
We
But
should talk to Jack and ask Jack about it. Hey,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Call him up. Call up your new best friend, Jack. Man, anybody who's tuning in now, if you guys did not catch our Jack O'Holler interview, you need to stop here, go back and rewatch, because that was a crazy interview. What a great guest. I can't wait to talk to him again, because there's so much to talk to him about. But
vagina.
Yeah, Kyle wants to know.
Vagina.
Kyle needs a list of all the poon he's crushed. He wants names, dates, black books. Kyle wants it all.
He's my new best friend.
There it is.
He's fucking coolest motherfucker. Do we even make a show? Like, whatever we have to talk about after this is trash, dude.
I mean, we can talk about Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. I know Corbin's excited about that.
Everybody's talking about that.
Corbin
Go
does.
back and listen to Grizzled Geek, dude, and then you got all the fucking facts about that. Who gives a fuck at this point?
Ezra Miller come back as the Flash to choke some people out.
Who cares? At this point, who fucking Grizzled Geek talked about it? You're good.
I still do care.
Well, you could go care with another fucking podcast. You
too, Kyle. You too. Oh my God!
That wasn't me this time. That wasn't me this time.
Hey.
Hands up! No, that wasn't me this time.
Brian, did you guys talk about? You guys talked about it on Monday on the fucking on Flip Side.
What?
Michael Keaton, all that. Like everybody's thought. But did you get to hear these badass stories for Jack? Fuck no. Who gives a shit about that? Go listen to.
So we should end the show now then, because Jack's gone, right? Is that what you're saying?
You just had a badass 2 hours podcast of fucking awesome shit.
Yeah.
Get the fuck.
I guess that's it for tonight.
Comic book resources. Read the article about Batman being Michael Keaton again. Who gives a fuck, dude?
Kevin Smith's gonna let his fans vote on the name for Mallrats. If you give a shit about that, Mallrats 2.
I hope you know what I hope they call it. I hope it's called "You in fact are the ball lickers." That's what I want to call it.
You know what makes me?
No, I wanted to be called in honor of Jack. I wanted to be called "Come, Son of Jarrell, Kneel Before Zod, Snoochie Boochies."
Yeah. The only problem with Mallrats that I have is that it's just too late for me. Like the whole I want to see Joey Lauren Adams hot again. Like she's not going to be hot again.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to see her hot changing in the fucking dressing room and fucking.
Dude, when that movie came out, when Mallrats came out, I was so geeked because I don't know if it was which came out first, Dazed and Confused or Mallrats. Had to be Dazed and Confused, right?
I think Dazed and Confused. Yeah.
I think it's pretty close.
I remember seeing previews or seeing Mallrats for the first time and being like, "That's the chick from Dazed and Confused! Holy shit!" Because she was so hot in Dazed and Confused, is unreal.
Right.
I mean,
Dazed and Confused came out in '90.
I'm so happy Michael Keaton's gonna be Batman again.
Yeah, Dazed and Confused came out in '93. Mallrats came out in '95.
Okay.
There you go. If Jack O'Halloran's not in Mallrats, I don't give a fuck about it either. So.
Oh, you even got Corbin to drop an F-bomb. Holy shit!
Kyle's rubbing off on me. All my excitement is dwindled. What is life anymore if Jack's not in it?
Who gives a fuck about that movie?
I mean, I guess we just do the hot 10 and go home.
Who are you giving the gun to, Matt? Who the fuck are you giving the gun?
Mr. Kellen McCall.
Bring him over here.
I just went outside with the dog. He went to go do what Brian's doing right now, just not in the house.
I like that. Matt's commands respect.
That's right. All right, let's hit the hot 10 and then close the show because I don't think Kyle's right. None of this news. Elizabeth Banks.
Talk about Flashpoint.
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick.
I mean, my excitement's gone now. So
my problem with it is who cares with Flashpoint? Batman Beyond. Fuck Flashpoint, Batman Beyond.
Like we've said a lot of time, we need Flashpoint because what this is going to do, if DC works this right, they can finally get something right and they can use Flashpoint to reset and to start things in a good direction.
Yes.
But he's apparently signed.
In the same breath, it should be Flashpoint.
They apparently want him to sign a 5-picture deal, and he's going to be like the Nick Fury of the DC universe.
I mean,
he's not going to be Batman.
He's going to be Bruce Wayne. They haven't confirmed him as coming back and being in the bat suit. He's going to be Bruce Wayne. That's much is for sure. But we'll find out probably a lot more at the Comic-Con from home when they do San Diego Comic-Con from home.
God.
So, which
I hope we don't find out shit.
I want to know. I want to go to the Walking Dead.
Why are you so negative, Kyle?
I want to go to the Walking Dead panel. And
I want to go to a Virgin Walking Dead panel.
hey,
Oh,
dude, but Jeffrey Dean
oh.
Morgan's going to be there, and I want to know if he's going to come back as Thomas Wayne. I want to know if he's going to play Thomas
he already
Wayne
said
in
he's not.
Flashpoint.
I'm
They already
tuning
said
in.
he's not.
He will.
What's going on with Walking Dead right now?
Going to happen.
The
It's
show.
on hiatus because of Rona. They haven't even shown the last episode of the last season yet because of Rona.
They've already said that Jeffrey Dean Morgan isn't going to play that.
Yeah, and they said that he would never. They said that Michael Keaton never come back as Batman. So
And boom, there he is.
Ezra Miller, his new line in Flashpoint needs to be, I've never saved anyone before. I just kind of choked them and ran away. That's what it is now.
Wow. Wow, that fell flat.
Yes,
You did not come up with that yourself.
I did.
Holy shit, dude.
Kyle
like-
is having none of it tonight.
Damn, dude.
After Jack, we're all just
Yeah.
lowly beasts of burden. Like, why are we?
Yeah.
We're not fit to speak to him right now.
Matt, try to set us up for that again. Hold on.
No, I can't.
Hold on. Very in tune now.
I got nothing, bro. You killed it
Come on,
already.
dude.
You
Do
have
it.
killed my
No.
spirits.
Yeah,
You killed
you're-
my spirits.
You just dashing left and right. Like Jack
Gosh,
Gibson,
I'm
Muhammad
gonna
Ali.
say, I'm gonna choke a bitch.
I'll never do stand-up comedy because I just bombed on my own podcast.
Oh, yeah. That he made sure that landed flat. I mean, it landed flat, but I wasn't gonna do that. But then he just laid it there. Like,
You could have just let me there and suffer. You just had to fucking pile on, huh?
Yeah, Matt.
The replay will show that I gave it a chuckle, but then Kyle just threw that against the wall.
It's like I just got hit with a car, and Kyle just kind of walked up and poked me with a stick instead of helping me out.
Wow.
Beat you.
You're a choke a
You know,
bitch.
nobody cares that they wanted Seth Rogen to play Scott Pilgrim instead of Michael Cera. Nobody cares that,
That's crazy weird.
yeah, it wouldn't have worked. Nobody
No.
cares that Elizabeth Banks is going to be Miss Frizzle in the Magic School Bus movie. Who cares? Nobody
I
cares
mean,
about
it's cool, I guess.
Is
that.
it?
With all the Me Too stuff going on, or
I don't know.
the Speak Out stuff that's going on, they
Take
want.
chances.
There's a
Take-
petition going on asking the FBI to investigate Bryan Singer's allegations.
You know what they should speak out about?
Fuck her up.
Choke a bitch.
Oh my god, fuck you. Big time Twitch streamer Dr. Disrespect got banned from Twitch today, and
For
nobody knows why. Twitch
No
is,
shit.
Yep.
Wait, who is he?
Dr.
I've never
Gotta
heard
Disrespect.
of
have some sexual allegations.
He's like
right?
one of the
He's gotta-
biggest Twitch streamers next to Ninja and all them.
Oh, I don't.
And he's
go
like a
on-
character. He's
Yeah.
a character.
Buddy I work with, he's like, what the fuck is Twitch?
Like I twitched just now, but that's about it.
Where you go watch other people play video games. Yep, choking. bitch.
Gotcha. I twitched on that joke. There you go.
We should have asked Jack who he thinks the best Superman is. I bet you he doesn't say it's
He said it was
Reeves.
Christopher
I think
Reeve.
he
Yes,
said
he did,
Reeves.
didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
And he even said he didn't like the
Back,
Stewart.
he even explained
Yeah.
why he played his role, and you went back and asked him again. So he had to explain it again.
But I think a follow-up question would be like,
it's like, Matt, he's already went into great detail about. Then you asked him again.
About what?
whoa.
What?
When did I do that?
He went into great detail earlier about why he played that character and what that character meant to him.
Oh
and
yeah.
you went, so where's your inspiration to playing that character, Jack? Oh, let me
Well, because I wanted to know.
let me explain it one more time.
I wanted to know if there was something deeper than just the fact. I want to know if it was because he was intrigued by the fact that he could bring more improv to it. I was trying to get more out of that question than re-asking the same question, but apparently
He
failed.
went deep into why he played that character.
I mean, to me, to speak up.
Fuck you, Kyle.
I don't do this often.
Play that.
I don't do this often, but in defense of Matt, Jack had a way of answering a question and then answering 3 or 4 more questions in part. And so there was a chance to go back there and try to flesh out one of those answers that he partially covered.
Yeah.
I think that's Matt was attempting to do.
Thank you,
No, it
Corbin.
So happened.
I agree 100% with Corbin. Thank you, Corbin.
Hey, there we go.
Like an idiot.
110%,
Well,
Corbin.
because like he did, I had the same thing with the
Corbin,
Superman.
you're 100% right.
That's right.
No, I'll take it. That's a first for me. Okay, but also like
You're right, Corbin.
I just had an idea for Jack next time. You know what? Stop it today. But no,
You
next
know what
time
I'm gonna
Jack
ask
comes
Jack
on, we
next
have to
time
do
he's on,
odd
I'm gonna
news
say,
with him.
When you were in Superman 2, what was your inspiration?
Hmm?
Hold on. I want to know, like, do you have any great back issues in that fucking huge box you have picked up this week? I mean, there's got to be, if you have back issues in there from March, there's got to be some that are like worth money now that you can sell. Did you see how much your Miles book 9.8 just recently sold for?
Yeah, I just saw a book.
I saw that today.
What did I tell you? What did I say? Put it up there for 1,000, 1,200 and just see what happens. And one just sold for 900 today.
I
Yep.
know.
Plus $12 shipping.
I was at Drawn today. I was at Drawn to Comics. Support your local comic book shop. I went there and I had my $140 comic book fucking pull list because I hadn't been there since March 17th. Well, like when I was talking to them about it, I was like, okay, that was the beginning of COVID. What the fuck is going on? We're on lockdown. You know what? When it gets warm, it's going to go away. So I'll just wait it out. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to do my part. And then they stopped, Diamond stopped sending books out. So I was like, okay, what's the point of going until I can get all my books? So then I'm like, oh, Corbin on Spinner Rack, maybe you want to go get my books. Fuck, I got to wait 2 more weeks to get my books. So here I am, fucking June 26th. I hadn't picked up my books since March 17th. And then when I was going through them, I felt like usually I go through and I'll put a couple back that stuff that I just, for some reason, I never bothered to take off my pull list. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. They held it that long. They're like, we can stop at $1 amount. And I was like, I'm the dumbass that hasn't picked it up since March.
Yeah. Great point. Great
It's
fucking
my
point
fault.
right there. Yes. For anybody out there that does that all the time, fuck you and fuck your mother. Okay? Fuck you and fuck your mother, because that is the type of shit that puts fucking comic books shops out of business.
So I was like, you know what? These are the books that I asked you to put aside for me. You put them aside for me. I was dumb and I waited months to come and get them. You know what? I'm just going to get them. Dude, I do. I have kick-ass books in there. Kick-ass books. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I had a stack of this of books. And she, when I went, I hadn't been there so long. She's like, what's your box number? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. I can't remember.
It's been so long.
Saved my life. So she actually had to, and she couldn't remember either. So, Susan was like, So they actually had to look it up because nobody remembered my box number because it had been so long. And then she fucking goes, here you go. And I was like, and my eyes got real big. And I had my mask on because, you have to, here you got to wear a mask. And then there they had their thing. Part of what they ask is please come in wearing a mask. So, and I was like, you don't even need to see my mouth to understand what my face looks like right now with all those books. Because I was like, fuck. And they were cool. They're like, we understand, if you want to stop at a certain amount. And I was like, no, because that's not fair. That's my I should come in and I should get my books more. I usually do. I usually go every 2 weeks. That was my normal thing. But working from home and stuff, I don't really leave the house a whole hell of a lot.
You got
everything.
It's a small radius, yeah.
The only time I leave the house and get my exercise is I walk across the street to the mailbox and I get my mail and I walk back and I go, fuck, it's hot outside, and I walk back inside. And that's it. So yeah, shout out to everybody out there, all the comic book stores. If you're not picking up your books and you were a fucking asswipe like I was and waited months, do the right thing. Go clean your boxes out.
Do the right thing.
Support your local comic book store. You ask for those books to be held. Go buy them. If there's books on there that you don't want anymore, tell them you don't want them anymore so that they don't have to order it for no reason.
See, and to go back to your point, though, that's why I like having Bryan do the interviews. He's a fucking way better interviewer than I am.
It's a skill.
It is. I write questions, and I...
What was your
Shut your mouth.
for the 5th time? Please explain that again for the 5th time.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Matt does a serviceable job, but the way Bryan is able to like dig deep and like mix it up, even I was like, I thought I had some decent questions, and I looked at Bryan asked like 4 questions. I looked at my thing and I said, "Nope, we're not doing it."
I'm asking, like that's what happened. I had this list of questions for Larry yesterday. That I was like, Bryan said, wasn't really sure who he was, so I did it up.
Bryan said,
and
he said, "Matt, you have questions?"
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about questions.
That's exactly what happened. Bryan looked at him and he took one question off of it and he fucking rolled. And like I make questions, I get so worried that I'm listening to him, but I get stuck up on wanting to make sure to ask the question.
No, I know what you
Matt could message me.
I'm gonna let you guys into something that might hurt me in the future. I have never, not once in any interview I've ever done, researched a person or thought of questions beforehand.
Yeah, but talking to a person.
It's just Larry was talking about this in his interview. He says every one of us has like some weird superpower. One of my weird superpowers is I can just interview people.
Yeah, because I read like 14 different things on O'Halloran, and then every time Kane, I'm just like, wow.
But you know what though? I get even with both interviews, Jack and the dude you did, Bryan, they were expecting the same 7 lame fucking questions that they always get. So, what was your inspiration for playing that character in Superman 2?
Fuck me, dude. Never living it down. And someone brought up the Felicia Day interview, and I realized I've done this, but like I hear him answer the question, but then I ask the next question because it's on the list. I'm like, fuck, I don't know what else to say. I want to hit these questions.
Bryan does is it's more of a natural interview.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the people that like when they notice the mole and they don't say mole, don't say mole.
Moly.
Exactly. It's exactly what.
Holy moly, Batman.
I got this list of questions, and like Corbin said, he's answering my next question within he's answering my next question in his answer to a different question, and I'm just like, fuck.
That's where you need to learn to adapt.
I know.
You need to learn to he's talking about this. Let's roll with this thing because you could tell so like when he started talking about his family and he started talking about the 60s, Bryan was just like, okay, Bryan took what he knew about conspiracy theories and shit and stuff that we've heard our whole lives. And he said, what about this? And Jack is like, well, that was bullshit.
Yeah.
And it was stuff that we all knew about. It's stuff that we've heard a million times. And you know what? If that's what, and that's where Howard Stern's an awesome.
I never knew Kennedy had syphilis. That's just me.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that dude was balls deep in everybody's mother.
Good for him.
Probably his own.
But no, it just and that's where Bryan is really awesome. Is
we all have our superpowers?
I'm still yet to figure out mine out. Mine is.
You know what your superpower is, Matt?
Oh my God, I don't even want to fucking hear it.
Spinner rack. Don't let them tell you different, man. It's the spinner rack.
I don't even want to hear it, Kyle.
I want to give a big. I see Istvan's in the chat. Big shout out to him. Yeah, love that dude. We might be getting some hockey back, but I don't see it happening, and I really don't care now that our favorite player has the Rona. Austin Matthews, local stud, came out. He has the Rona, so I don't know if I care about hockey that much anymore.
Basketball's coming back.
Yeah, basketball's coming back.
This time next month.
You know what? Here's the problem, though. I don't think anything's coming back. I think that we're gonna get another little, come up of the Corona shit. And it's going to just throw a fucking wrench in all of that.
Wear your masks.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. Do you wear that thing?
No, I don't.
Wow.
I had
have
Tim,
to, dude.
I had Tim
You're
made
gonna
it
get a
for me.
$250 fine.
No, I wear a so on Walking Dead Day, and I've gotten complimented on it like 10 times. On Walking Dead Day last year, they gave out bandanas that have a zombie face on them with the eye holes cut out. So I wear that. I wear it over my face and stuff. And I was in Bashes on Father's Day getting something for my dad, and some old woman stops me and she goes, "That's an awesome mask. Where did you get that? And don't tell me you've had it for a long time because I want it." I was like, "I've had it for about a year. I got it from a comic shop online." And she was like, "I'm going to go look it up." I was like, "All right, cool."
That's something my mom would do.
But yeah.
Have you guys seen what are those ones that people just? It's like hunters usually wear them. They just go around your neck.
Yeah.
They're like,
Camo?
No,
the
not
style.
yeah, they're like they call them something, and you could just pull them up, and they stay up right here, but it goes around your whole.
Part. No, I know what you're
Fucking
talking
TK. Fuck you, dude. Matt's superpower is bringing all the boys who like bread to the yard. Son of a bitch. That is my superpower.
That's the power.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, I gotta find out what those things are called, because those things, they actually make them like out of like that same material that stays cool.
Yeah.
So you can even put them in like the freezer and shit, because it's getting fucking hot out, and that's my problem. When I'm wearing one of those stupid masks, I fucking get hot fast. I start sweating in there and shit.
Yeah.
And I want the ones that are made of the really nice materials and shit.
Chuck wants to know
my
if you're also
library.
going to get vaccinated if you're wearing a mask.
I will not be getting a vaccine.
If they threaten me financially, we'll have to revisit that conversation, Chuck.
I don't got enough money that they can take. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't got anything they can take.
I like to think I have a financial future. You know, I'm just playing. No. And honestly, I'm more of a cross that bridge when we get to it type thing. But the answer's probably still going to be no.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, oh, no, right now. Then you say $500 fine. I'm like,
I'd rather spend that money on comic books than getting fined for not wearing a mask. So I'll just put some over my stupid face.
If I need to put some over my face, like, I'll put them out, whatever. I'm not losing money over it. I don't believe that strongly about it. And I also don't make enough money to have to fight it. Wow.
So I'll show you.
Oh, look at this guy over here just showing his clout.
Who are you impersonating, Matt?
You. And I'm impersonating you, impersonating me.
Over a 3-week span, and then then you can compare.
I was just showing this is what from March to Wednesday looks like.
Let's see. Go through the books. I want to see what's in there.
You want to see what I got?
You're going to do the Kyle 10.
Okay, so I have Thor number 3.
Okay.
Oh, so you got probably the whole Thor run in there, huh?
Almost. I got Venom 25. Batman Beyond, which I can't wait to read again because of Jay and Corbin.
Dan Jurgens and Sean Shen, my man.
Justice League 45.
Can't wait to read again because Jay and Corbin.
Oh, don't be all butthurt, man.
Don't be mad about it.
Corbin.
Don't be all mad.
Flash 754. Flash 753.
Solid.
What's going on? You probably have no idea what's going on in Flash right now.
No idea.
Joker's about to dominate everything in the DC, so.
Yep, across the entire board.
Teen Titans 41. Flash 752. Justice League 44. Outcast 45. Birds of Prey. And it's a J. Scott Campbell cover, so that's why I got it.
Oh, yeah, that's why, because you got a bunch of $10 big boy books in there.
Yeah. Let's see.
That
Flash
J. Scott
754.
You got a bunch of variants in there?
755. Justice League 46.
Got Star Wars in there?
Esteban wants to. Esteban, should Jurgens take over Superman from Bendis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck Bendis.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jurgens on Batman Beyond, but Bendis is just so much trash on Superman that.
Nightwing 71, which I'm
Yeah.
because of Spinner Rack, I'm actually excited to start reading again.
Look at this. I love when yes. Okay, got my cover. Punchline.
Joker.
Ooh.
That's nice.
How many did you get? All the covers? Or just one?
It looks like it. Joker.
That's a
That's a
nice
good one.
Dude, that's fucking $10 a book there, boy.
Dark Knights #1.
Whoa.
Oh, Dark
that
Knight Metal.
cover.
Yeah, that Superman cover.
Batman 93.
That's a good
All
book
right.
too.
Interesting covers.
Batman Beyond 44.
Boom, boom, boom. Variant. Let's get it.
Flash 756.
Okay. Yeah, you added it up, man.
Justice League 47. I have a lot of different books you could tell that I subscribe to, but not really.
Yeah.
Redneck.
You still read that fucking book?
No.
He doesn't read half those. What are you talking about?
I think that he buys them, is what he's saying. Yeah, I don't know about the reading part.
Spawn.
Oh, I still didn't. Yeah.
Teen Titans 42.
It seemed like Brian got a bunch of books too. Oh, Thor.
Thor 5. Flash 750. Who is that? Is that Kellen? Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah, it's
42.
Kellen.
Tell him to come on the show. Detective Comics 10.
He's on there. He's on the show.
Hey, Kellen. And then I've got Batman Beyond 42.
There you go. Read all those from
From
Batman.
March until Wednesday. Tell him to get a headset and a microphone and fucking join us.
Nah, he's pillaging the trades we got in the mail from
Whoa.
TKO Studios.
You know what?
Oh.
Ish,
Oh,
you're right.
Come on.
Flash does feel like it's felt like it's been a weekly title for a while. It seems like it's always in.
It's always in print.
It's always in my poll every time I go to buy my comics. It seems like Flash, but don't get me wrong, I haven't bought comics. It's
I was gonna say if you do it at a rate of once
March
every 4
17th
months,
to today.
yeah, if you go once every 4 months, I'd say that the chances are odd that you'll get.
I usually don't though. I usually go every 2 weeks. I usually go every other week.
Okay, I feel that.
That's usually my norm.
That
And after this week, after this poll, I'm definitely doing that.
What?
What, Kellen?
No,
we can't
he's
hear
not.
you, Kellen.
Brian is not cleaning his gun. He's going through comic books. It looks like.
Is he cleaning?
No, I don't know if I've seen.
Kellen, go in your room, get out your headset, and fucking talk with us, asshole.
What?
I don't know if Wookie's been in the chat yet. Have you guys seen?
No,
Wookie
he
in
has
the
not
chat?
been here
no.
tonight.
No, one of our best interviews, and fucking Wookie's not even nowhere to
Right?
be found. Ass.
Wookie riding solo.
He was probably in the Hot 10 chat though, wasn't he?
I didn't see him.
He's lucky.
Kyle's throwing shade.
All right. So
Oh,
let's.
Wookie.
Oh my god. Let's do it. Let's see the hot 10 as Brian's.
No, we're gonna look at Brian's books first.
Okay. Let's
hold
look for
on.
Brian's. Let's have clout time.
That's what we should call it. There it is. Cloud time.
I don't even know what this shit is, dude.
You just bought like a random collection, or
It's shit that I must buy when I get
40%
stoned.
eBay.
It's shit I must buy when I get stoned because, there's just boxes and boxes that showed up today, man.
wow.
This is cool. All right, I know about this.
A lot of packaging.
9.8 of the first Scotty Young baby cover. This is the first time he ever did the baby cover. I'm buying the shit out of this book. I think that eventually this book is going to catch some heat just because of what it is. And you can buy, I think I paid $20 or $30 for this. I mean, that's less than the cost of grading.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool. I picked up the Son of Darthmere set. The Darth Maul Son of Darthmere set.
Whoa. Okay.
It's not in as good a condition as they said it was, which sucks. They sent it really shitty. but I bought that. Chad is 100% right when he says that series is gonna be big screen. But the problem is that he's saying it at a time when people have known that for a long time. So you're not gonna find a set of that from less than $100.
Yeah.
Everyone does it.
Yeah. 2 more of the Wraith books came in this week. I'm still getting these in. Just like I must have bought 1,000 of them. I picked this up. I must have bought it because of Miles. Champions, the KRS Comics variant.
Oh yes.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked that up. I picked this up because I think that people are really overlooking this book. And I'll go through the top 10 before I show you this book.
Okay.
I think I have books in the hot 10.
Grizzle Geek was talking tonight that made me think that Turtles book that we all went on that cover, The Last Ronin, that's already been picked up by CBS to turn into a TV show.
I'm not surprised.
Dude, everybody is doing variants of that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw another badass fucking Ronin.
There's a Pete Momoko one.
Dude, oh my god, I've seen so many cool variants. Like, I was like everybody is doing. Like, you could tell that book is gonna explode.
Yeah, I think so. For
Thank
sure.
you for agreeing with me, Matt.
100%.
What do you
Fucking
think
A,
about-
Kyle.
All right, so the honorable mention number 1, the first one is the Golden Age one. This
Knock the fuck out.
Rangers Comics number 29. This a recent 9.6 copy sold for, a 9.6 copy sold for $1,800 back in 2013. The same exact copy sold this week for $6,600.
So let's get this cover right.
Wait,
Let's see.
Matt's zoned out.
I'm just
Bitch
done.
is tied up.
I'm just done listening to him
Tied
now.
up and hanging.
I've heard enough. I've seen enough.
So is she getting saved from Crab Dude?
Oh my
He's got a
God.
Crab t-shirt on. He's got a long sleeve Crab t-shirt on.
And there's somebody named Tiger Man that's in it too.
And fire hair. Dude, what comic book is it?
This is all I got to say to Kyle's joke right now. Cricket.
No, it's
That
way
was
better.
after, I mean, you should have played after your one little joke about the
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about, Corbin.
the one that Kyle was trying to flame.
I don't know what you're talking about, Corbin.
Okay. All right.
Bitch.
The second honorable mention. This is a crazy one. Shout out to listener Tim. Listener Tim, big fan of the Chopper R2 unit, whatever asteroid. Chopper is
Who's not in the chat at all tonight?
Yeah.
Either.
okay.
And yet he was sitting in another group chat talking to somebody else who's not here tonight also.
Like a fucker.
Yep.
So,
Both of you.
anyways,
fuckers.
that Chopper character is kind of tied in with a lot of the newer Star Wars stuff. I saw listener Tim just purchased the first appearance of Chopper, which is Kanan number 1, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That book's going through the roof because it's the first comic appearance of Sabine Wren. Well, somebody, Topher from comicbookinvest.com, came out and basically showed everybody that this is the true first appearance of Sabine Wren in any comic form. It's the Star Wars Rebel magazine, and he's talked about it for a while, but a recent copy sold this week for $425.
I bet you Tim bought it.
If he does, man, damn. Number 10 is a book that I fucking hate. I fucking hate this book so much because I've been trying to buy one for as long as you guys have known me, I've been trying to buy this book.
Yep.
And I can't find it anywhere. And when I was trying to buy it, it was, $600 in a 9.8.
Yep.
Well, unfortunately, I've missed the bandwagon on it because 9.8s are selling for like $1,200.
Jesus.
Wow.
So it's got that Walking Dead momentum right now with it.
And they're a very low print run. super. The first print is so hard to find. Usually you only see the Larry's Comic variant, which looks like this but has a Larry's Comic logo on it. Don't buy that one. You could get the first appearances, his quote unquote first appearances in Noble Comics or Noble Family. What is it? I'm spacing on the name, but anyways, that's his first appearance of, and it's called Noble. Fuck. Anyways, you can also find previews of this issue in G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, and Savage Dragon as well. So be specking on those.
Universe one, don't you?
I got them all.
Yeah.
So I buy the G.I. Joe one every time I see it. It's the cover where it's the battle android, the bat, and he's like on top of somebody, like shooting down at him. Anyways, number 9 this week, Bounty Hunters variant. This is the Bosk variant from Michael Golden, 1 in 25. It's going for double the ratio. And
hey Brian.
Yeah.
There's a buy it now for Invincible number 1 first print, $3.95 on eBay right now.
Really?
Yep.
Raw,
yeah.
hold on. Let's pause the show, everybody.
Fucking A.
Look at Invincible.
Brian's got to buy it up.
Share your screen. Include all of us in this awesomeness.
I don't see it.
It was the first one for me. I put in Invincible number 1 first print, near mint or near mint plus.
Tell us more about Invincible.
White pages, Image Comics, $3.95.
Let's have a bunch of uncomfortable silence.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it in the chat. Hold on.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Anyway, so this Star Wars book is just going crazy. Original Sin. First appearance of Silk is getting hotter. $50 book and raw.
Ooh, I got that. Anyone want to buy
Got
it?
that book. Yep.
Yeah, they're going for crazy numbers in 9.8. It's like 250 plus. They were like 185 last week. So
you think this is just because it's just Miles' thing? Everybody's just trying to get these first appearances now. Edge of Spider-Verse, all this. Do you think that's just what it is?
yeah.
It's the anticipation now of trying to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's 100% people are just trying to spec like crazy. So, oh man, it's got a couple spine ticks. Ugh, super spine ticked up.
Let's see it. Bring it up. Let's all look at it together as a group.
So all right. So here's the problem with this book. Let me do this.
The problem is it looks like a base. Oh, there it is.
The solution is you don't have one, and there's one right there. So
Yeah, but if it's not in the
just
condition
buy
he
it.
wants, it's pointless to buy it.
and then trade it.
Why won't it let me do
Trade up.
You know what I'm talking about? Why won't it let me do that?
It won't let you.
Like a larger.
Yeah. There we go. And so this book you can't press out because it's a cardboard cover.
Spine ticks right there.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And
There's
you
a-
can't press those out.
There's a 9.2 on there for 100 for.
Yeah, it's like there's
99.
probably like 10
Buy
spine ticks.
9.2s. Get a fucking real.
9.8 for $1,400, $1,500. 9.6 for $7.99.
Who wants a goddamn 9.6? Nobody.
Yeah, I might have to think about that. Let's see.
And they've got it at 9 near mint minus.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. But yeah, Silk shit's going crazy. There is a J. Scott Campbell variant to this issue that's got Black Cat on the cover. It's selling for like $100 less than 9.8, which is crazy. It's got a cooler cover. I mean, this cover is garbage. Yeah, Silk's on it, but just her arm and body.
Yeah.
And her hands look like man hands. So
Man, hands, little sausage figures.
yeah. Number 7, Static number 1. I'm really
Remember
happy.
when we were specking on those like 6
crazy.
years ago?
Yeah, I'm really happy to see this book getting some love. This book needs to get some love. There is another. So, like Kyle said, we have been definitely talking about this book for a while. spec'd on it heavy back in the day. Anytime we saw it, we would buy it. But there is a issue in this series that another issue that I've been trying to find for a long time. I had one a long time ago, and unfortunately I sold it, and now I know I really want it back. This is issue 40, and the series only goes to 45. But this is a really cool issue. As you can see, it says Static rolling with the Lost Boys. And for those of you guys that don't know, the Lost Boys were a hip-hop group out of New York back in the late 90s. Yeah. One of my all-time favorite hip-hop groups. Big fan of Freaky Ta and Mr. Cheeks. So rest in peace, Freaky Ta. That's the Lost Boys on the cover there with Static and Hardware, I believe. And this is a tough book to find. The print run is very small for the last 5 issues in the run, like almost non-existent. And I don't think a lot of people know about this cover yet and who's on it. But once that gets out, So here's where comics is going right now. Comics is trending from the lovable nerd to the cool guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's also trending to younger. And once the younger community and the music community and all that merges the way it's doing with the hip hop covers, this could be a big book. So hip hop covers and all that stuff, this could be a big book. I love this book. If you guys ever find any, hit me up. I'll definitely take one off your hands. All right. So anyway, Static number 1 is at number 7. Basically, there's multiple covers. There's the blue and a red and a platinum, the orange, blue, and a platinum. The orange and blues are like 35 to 40 range. The platinums are way high. Great book to spec on, though. I love this series. Number 6, this is Venom, the 3rd print variant for Venom number 3. Yeah, this is the Null first appearance. Again, this book's just still going crazy. 9.8s are around $400 plus. Raw copies are $175. Absolutely bonkers. Null is still going crazy, as you got all of us buying Wraith copies, because this character is going to be big, and it's going to be. This is the character that everybody's trying to spec on right now with Thrall or Thrawn and all those types of characters in Star Wars. Like, who's the next big bad? This is the next big bad in movies. This is your next Thanos. Like, this is the big bad guy that all the bad guys fear, So I don't see this character not continue to just go crazy. Daredevil number 9, the first appearance of Echo. This was on the list last week. It's moved up. Copies are going for $40 to $50 plus. Crazy. And we're going to see supposedly this character in the MCU. But issue number 10 has Echo on the cover. So she's not on the cover on this one. That's Black Widow. Issue number 10, she's actually on the cover, and it's a beautiful cover just like this. This is the David Mack, Joe Quesada team-up cover that they do. They do the same thing for number 10. So check that out. Number 4. I think we talked about this on the show. This is Flashpoint number 1, the San Diego Comic-Con variant. This is the very first appearance of Thomas Wayne. You can only get it from Graffiti Comics at Comic-Con or through their website. At one point, they were selling these on their website for $10 a piece. You could have bought 100 of them. So just be careful. This book out is there's a lot of copies of them. It's not available. It hasn't been available on their website for a while now. But when Flashpoint first got rumored to get hot, like a year and a half ago, I was buying the shit out of these and selling them. I was buying them for $10, putting them up for $25. Selling them for $25. It's not a rare book, and it's a cool cover though. It's got a gatefold cover, flash on one side and zoom on the other, and it's a cool book. But yeah, that's number 4. Number 3. This is a fun one because you can find this in 50-cent bins to this day. They're everywhere. This is again on the heat of Michael Keaton coming back as Bruce Wayne. This is Batman, the official movie adaptation. And this book yeah, if you could have got anything over $1 for it up until a week ago, you know, I would have called you crazy.
It's blowing up.
Yeah, it's 20 plus right now. So, it's yeah. You got some of these?
I saw one last week at Azia's up on my house.
Remember when that first collection we bought together, Brian? There was
Whoa.
a shitload of those in there. Remember, he had 3 or 4 or 5. There's a bunch of them.
I know where I got to be first thing tomorrow. Whoa. Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
So number 2 is here you go, Matt. Thor number 5, the Black Winter book. You know, there's a little bit of talk about this book right now because of the Black Winter and Donny Cates. A bunch of people came out and said, "Oh, the real first appearance is in Silver Surfer number whatever." And Donny Cates immediately came back and clapped back on social media and was like, "No, it's not. The first appearance is in this book." Da, da, da. So now that's got everybody wondering.
Boys.
Yeah.
Oh,
I get to be my Kyle. I got these. I got these.
Are these the variant or the regular?
These are the regular cover.
Okay. So yeah, these are going for 15 or 20 now, and $70 for the 1 in 25. But
came out Wednesday.
Yeah,
it did. The 1 in 20,
number 1.
The 1 in 25 was already a $70 book by the time it went on sale on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So when I was going through my books at the comic book store, that's one thing they said. They said they have gotten so many calls about that book that it's crazy for the amount of people that are asking and looking for this book.
Well, Marvel books are low print run right now because they're still coming back from Rona. So these books are low print run, and they sold out already.
What's the print run on this?
I'm not sure what the print run on this book is, but I know that's what they were talking about is that the Marvel books have had low print runs. Comic shops.
Verified places, of course.
Yes.
Where do we go, Brian, to look at print runs?
Let's take a look. Hold on.
That's what everyone on eBay is advertising it as too. Low print run, first Black Winter.
It's because they said it.
Omicron, maybe. Latest Diamond data. Okay. I want to search for Thor
number 5.
Which I can't imagine why shops aren't ordering heavy on this book from the get-go.
I don't see it.
Damn it.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, yeah.
Let's see.
It's crazy. Number 1 this week, hip-hop covers.
Just all in general. Ooh, the Doctor Strange.
They are going bonkers.
Every one of those.
Yeah, I do
except
too.
the Miles when he sold it. Like, I love the hip-hop covers. I bought all of them.
There's 157 of them.
I bought a shitload of them. I felt like for a while that's all I was buying was hip-hop covers.
Yep. I remember when you were buying them.
Yeah, because I was like, this is so cool. This is me. This is me at 14.
Yep.
With a lot of what this reminded me of.
Listen to some of these sales figures. We already talked about the 9.8 miles that sold for like 900 today. Raw, that book is going for 200 plus. Spider-Gwen one is going for 40, 50 plus. Silk is going for 50 plus. Hawkeye is going for 40 plus. Black Panther's 30 plus. Vision is 80 to 100. They're just going crazy. And they weren't tough to find.
Do they have the Spider-Man number 1 on there? They're
all
Eyes on Me, the Tupac variant.
Yeah, they're all every hip hop one is number 1 this week. Like all of those books. And there's some books that were tougher to find than others. And if you guys remember way back at the beginning of this, I said I'm not going to talk about this book until I get to the top 10. This book right here is the 1 in 100 hip hop variant for hip hop covers. Not a lot of people are talking about this book. This is All New Inhumans number 5, the 1 in 100 Sugar Hill Gang cover variant, which is a sick ass cover. This book dropped as low as like $10 a couple years ago, and I remember just buying it up, being like, "That's going to be a tough book one of these days," because it's 1 in 100 on the hip hop variants, and I don't know how many people, like the very first set of hip hop variants, I don't know how many people were really buying them at the time, especially all new humans.
75,988. That's the print run.
That's about the same print run as Ultimate's Fallout number 4.
For Thor?
Thor
Yeah.
number 5.
Nice.
75,988. Spider-Woman 1, 142,089. Flash 750, 82,432.
Yeah, I mean, that's not very big of a print run. Think about how high the print run is on those big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's a good print run. But yeah, it's not crazy like other print runs.
No. But yeah, so that's the craziness. These hip hop covers are just.
Oh, dude, I'm digging them all out.
You should, man. You should. I don't think I have any of them. I know I have maybe the I just have the 1 in 100 and I have the Moon Knight one because that one was really cool, and the Adam Hughes NWA one.
Yeah, I just thought they're all cool because you knew every cover, you knew what they were doing, every one. I know that one, I know that one, I know that one, and just like I think the Howard the Duck one is still my favorite. It's Howard the Duck's food stamp card.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, dude.
ODB.
Mm-hmm. It's when you saw that, you were just like, I remember him doing that special on MTV. Remember that? He drove a limo to the welfare office, went inside, got his shit, and came back and got his limo.
Yep.
Like he was like, "Fuck you guys!" It was awesome.
You run that.
It was awesome.
Crazy spec is crazy right now, and if you're part of it, you're making some money. You're really making some money. So,
I mean, just like when I was in the comic book store today talking about it, like to get those variant covers, you had to buy. It was like, remember Jesse was telling us about it, Brian.
What's that?
1,000% more of some shit title that you would never buy. You had to buy 1,000% over what you normally would buy to be eligible to get those hip hop covers.
Talk about that again. I don't think people realize that. Say that again.
So to get those hip hop covers, there were certain issues that comic book stores had to buy 1,000% above their normal percentage that they bought of certain books.
Okay.
They had 1,000% above to be eligible to be able to buy to order the hip hop covers. So which means they had to eat a shitty book that nobody was going to buy because they were inflating numbers on shitty books that people didn't really want. And these hip hop covers came out for it was a long process. So every week these comic book stores were getting screwed, having to buy these 1,000% over what they normally bought shit books. Which is why I hope most comic book stores still have a lot of these books in there. They didn't buy a lot of them, so the print runs for those are actually kind of low, those hip-hop covers.
Yeah.
Because if you had to do that, it was so much extra money, they didn't buy a lot of them. So if you guys have them, then good for you guys. Like, I'm going to dig all mine out and see what's up, because I know I got a shitload of them.
Yeah,
Probably 150 of them, but I bought them every week.
And you give me one, and that's how that works. That's how we've done it. But nah, that's cool. I get that's some information I didn't even know.
The Venom number 1 hip hop cover's dope as shit too.
On to Michael Keaton playing.
Oh my God, we're over that already.
Real fast, I want to share something. If you guys don't remember, well, you should remember. You should have seen it. Jesse James came on Absolute Geek. When did he come on Absolute Geek? Came on a couple weeks back.
Yeah, isn't he going to be on?
Yeah. I definitely want to talk about that real quick if I can. Share the screen. Make sure you guys, if you want, check out Jesse will be on the Weekend Update.
Just let Nico know that we've already interviewed him.
Well, I'm going to talk about it during the show. So make sure you guys check it out. It'll be a lot of fun. And if there was any questions that you guys didn't get answered on our interview with them, try and ask in the live section of the episode, and we'll try and get them answered. But make sure you check that out.
We need to get Jesse on again. I think he needs to be on here regularly talking
Yes.
about the comic book industry.
Yes.
Like, it should be 3 weeks, Jack.
Well, the reason why I love Jesse is because if you've ever met somebody that's like that, like they always, I'm not saying that he always tells the truth, but the guy, like, I don't ever catch him in a lie. So he doesn't ever have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, he's got that persona. Like, he's like, I'm not talking bad about something unless I really feel that way. You know what I mean? So he's honest, and he's got a little background where he's like, there's such thing as karma. So I always respect that, and he's not afraid to tell it like it is, and he definitely shows that in all the interviews.
Dude, he has been. I can never say it enough, dude. That dude has been so good to me.
Yeah.
That when I actually got to buy that dude a beer and hang out with him, like it was I wouldn't say it was an honor, but like it felt good. But here, these beers are on me. Let's just sit and we can hang out and let's bullshit at the bar. Like it was like when he said, "Hell yeah, I'm on my way," I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like it's not just, he wasn't just my friend because I'm a customer at his comic book store.
Yeah.
Like, I am one of Jesse James's friends.
He's a good dude.
And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, so when I was like, "Hey man, I'm at the, I'm a mile from you, dude, at the bar. Come, I'll get, come hang out with me. I'm on my way."
I think that we have a small comic store owner community here in the Valley. It needs to be larger. It seems like it's dwindling every day. But the stores owners that are around here, as you guys can tell by watching or listening to our show, the way we talk about all of our store owners, there's very few store owners around here that aren't great people to spend money with. So
yeah, I went to Ken today and it was great. I sat there for a half hour and it was great talking to him and Susan. And then a couple weeks, the other week before when we were in Fantastic Worlds, just sitting there bullshitting is awesome. It's you go to all these stores and there's all these great things about each store.
Yep.
And that's why nobody should be, "This is the only store I shop at." This is why you should always shop at every store. You should always spread your love.
Each one has
brings
its own
us
identity.
to a
now he wants
fantastic point.
Oh my God.
This guy.
Go ahead, Corbin.
Nah, it's all good. I lost my thought now.
No, I'm gonna let
kidding.
you
Go on,
go.
Matt.
Yeah.
I was giving you a hard time, Matt. Go on.
No, go ahead.
I'm
I'll let you introduce it, Corbin.
Introduce what? Comic Crawl?
Yeah.
No, that's your baby. You're the best equipped for it.
Let's hear it. Come on.
Okay. So, what Kyle was just preaching about before I was so rudely interrupted by Corbin.
He was
You actually interrupted us. Honestly,
we were talking.
honestly, you.
This was Matt.
you were
I
so
did Matt.
fucking
This was
important.
Matt. One second. I'm about to do it. Perfect point. Which
Well,
leads me
exactly.
Right in the middle of a goddamn sentence.
That's right.
You know who's the host? I'm the goddamn host. So if I'm gonna,
There's
cut
a
you
delay.
off, fucking, there's a delay. Fuck off.
But
Fuck off. You know my favorite part of Matt is when he's totally not listening and he just goes, "Yeah, the last thing you just said, but I have no idea what you said."
So-
I agree 1,000%.
And I
it
know
brings
that
me.
I know that's a technique, but
Yeah.
you gotta listen beforehand. Yeah, movies, and so.
Oh my god.
You're just catching it tonight, man.
I know.
Oh, man.
It's all right. It's all right. Brings me. Kyle was saying brings me to my perfect point.
Good,
Is
let's hear it.
starting in July. We're gonna try to do July 10th, I believe. Yeah, July 10th.
Yeah, we're so
So
busy
actually,
with
no.
how long we have to do shit.
It's the 11th. Saturday, July 11th, we are starting what we're calling the Comic Crawl. If you are in the Phoenix area, we are going to start doing a program where we're going to help support shops that are in trouble or were in trouble or had to shut down via COVID. we are going to set up a
We
page
don't
or
actually know any
email
of
list.
comic shops are in trouble.
Well, but they need
But what we
help
wanna
because
do
of
is we wanna
COVID.
support
Exactly.
all of our shops.
So we want to support our shop. So we're gonna do what's called the comic crawl, where we're gonna put out every week.
So which shops are in trouble, Matt? Let us know.
Oh my God! You present it. Present it, Kyle. You son of a bitch.
He's gonna let you finish.
Anyways,
We're
gonna
help shops that
support-
are in
Let's hear it.
trouble.
Come on.
So what's the first shop that's in
Stop,
trouble
stop.
that we're gonna help? Okay.
Stop. I want to hear it.
we are going to start randomly supporting our comic book community, our local shops here in Phoenix. If you're in the Phoenix area and you listen to this show, we'll let you know where to meet. We're not going to tell the shop owners we're coming. We're going to let you know where we're going to meet. We're going to go to a random shop once a month. We're going to shop that store to help them out.
Hang out, good vibes, good
Hang
time.
out, good vibes, spend money, support the shop, help them out.
We are gonna personally pull comic book stores out of trouble.
Yeah, that's
Mark
right.
Matt's words.
That's right.
But the thought is good. I'm excited for this. Gonna be good.
No, we're gonna go and we're gonna just exactly what we're saying. Every comic book store in the valley is good for its own reason, and there's no reason to not spread the love. So we're gonna start spreading the love.
Yeah,
Why-
like Chuck just said, don't forget your masks.
I totally won't.
There we go. Sounds.
Yes, like a flash
and
mob.
all
Totally flash mob that shit too. We
Yep.
should totally have a dance set up. We go inside.
as soon as like the Absolute Geek guys walk in, everybody starts doing that.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Matt walks in, everyone goes like this. Stay alive, stay alive. Help, 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 help the comic book store.
Oh my God.
Absolute Geek said you guys are in trouble. What can I do to help?
We are here to help.
Hey, man, I'm sure all shops need
gonna
help.
hit it.
We're being shut down for
We are here
weeks.
to save you.
Seriously,
It's gonna be
yeah, it will be.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool because the shops won't know which shop we're going to. We don't want the shops to be ready for us. We want to walk into a shop where it's the normal, what a normal shop has available, and we want to talk about it on the show. That's another thing. Like when we go there, we want to say what our experience was like, and have people talk about their experiences and who they met there. And
Yep,
all
we're
that.
gonna have cameras so we can show what the local shop looks like, what they have to offer you. Interview the owner, get their eBay information, online information, whatever we got to get, so you can help them out too, and buy off their eBay store or buy offline wherever you are to help support that shop that we went to that month. So we'll give you more information as we get closer to it, but the invite is open to everyone who listens to the podcast to come out, and we urge you to do it in your local community too.
Absolute Geek Podcast at absolutegeekpodcast@gmail.com, and we will make sure to hit your store so that you can be out of trouble.
This fucking guy, man. This fucking guy.
Kyle's on one today. Ever
3
since
hours
Jack-
of this shit.
Ever since
I've
Jack
had
left,
enough. I'm done.
I think Kyle was so quiet in the interview just to make up for lost time.
It was a good show tonight, though. Good show.
It was. I enjoyed it as always. Though.
Yeah,
Yes.
just like Bar Rescue.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're gonna call it. Absolute Geeks Comic Book Rescue.
There you go.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I'm just gonna hit both doors.
So those bar rescue guys are fucking assholes. I don't want to be associated with them.
You could tell, dude. You could tell it's a lot of, even from your interview, but even before that, you could tell it's set up. They do a lot of shit because it's TV. There has to be drama. There has to be bullshit that they find.
Great question, Chuck. How will people be notified?
We're working that out.
We're gonna have a secret chat.
If Matt goes like this to Kellen, he gives him the wink and the gun to go take the dog out. That means message Matt at absolutegeekpodcast@gmail.com.
We should set up. It's gonna be hard. We gotta set up some way that it's not the comic shop owners. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam, it's fun.
That's
in the
why
chat.
I'm
Sorry, it's fun.
still-
You can't be part of the chat, brother.
I'm still thinking of how to notify people.
Fucking story.
No, it's good. I figured that, but I thought we could do like an email list, or like it shows where we're gonna go, or a
Or at
chat.
the last minute. At the last
Yeah.
minute. That's what we should do. Join this comic group on Facebook. We'll call it the Comic Crawl Phoenix group.
Yeah.
Join
Facebook.
our absolute group.
And that morning, we will say where we're going. This is where to meet us up.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Or we already,
set.
yeah, like Kyle just said, we have an Absolute Geek group page that you can join.
There you
Request
go.
to join, and we
The
can
Absolute
drop it
Geek
on there.
Yep.
That's solid. That's solid.
When you get the finger,
So,
you know it's time to message us.
Oh my lord.
Fucking Kyle's on one.
Let's end this show, guys.
No way. We haven't even talked about Michael Keaton.
You mentioned
Yes,
Michael-
we did.
You didn't want to talk about Michael Keaton. You said, "Who gives a crap about Michael Keaton?" I gotta bring it up. You want to send me on the
Yeah.
show?
Yeah,
Okay.
Michael, stop. Michael Stout says, I always love how Kyle's always like, great idea, Matt, but here's why it's stupid.
That's right. You're right, though. You're right, though.
Do it on New Comic Book Day. That's a idea. But the problem is that a lot of people work on Wednesdays, man.
Yeah,
It's hard to hit the.
it's easier to get people together on a Saturday than
Yeah.
it is to get people on a
And we do it on a
Sunday.
Saturday. Most people get paid on a Friday, paid on a bi-weekly basis, so they got that money to buy them big boy books.
Yeah, the big boy books I look at.
They can
Or barter for.
Or Corbin will give you a grade A class in bartering.
Hey,
You know?
Why is everything at this shop dirty?
Yeah. Esteban wasn't there for that, even though it happened at his own shop.
I mean, listen, it got
We
great
got
deal out of
hours. I get, dude. He's got that cute little baby.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to come see us ugly motherfuckers
No,
either. If
I
you
don't
got that
blame
little
you.
cute
Hey,
baby.
speak for yourself.
I don't know. That's a pretty cute baby, man.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah,
It's just an idea, man. You know,
it's a good one. I'm excited to do it.
help
So
people.
we are
out
not
there.
going to Drawn to Comics tomorrow.
Break some bread. Whoa.
No, I'm definitely not going to Drawn to Comics tomorrow, man.
I am. I'll be there.
I want to, but
I went tonight. I went today because
You did
I
your
have-
part. You did your part.
I have
Good job.
I have family.
I've got a lot of shit I got to do tomorrow.
But yeah, so we're starting officially July 11th will be the first one, and join the Absolute Geek Faith Group page, not the Absolute Geek page. There's a different
you
fan
said
page.
Facebook.
There's a different
Yeah.
fan page.
I think it's actually hidden though, isn't it?
Well, I have to. Here's why that works so well. Like, you're a smart boy. Is because I have to. We have to. Me and you.
Oh, wait. No, wait. I'm sorry. You have to do what,
No.
Matt?
Me
As
and
the
you.
supreme overruler of Absolute Geek. What does Matt
Okay.
Fuhrer have to
As the
do?
admin of the page, we have to approve everybody who requests to join it.
Yes.
So I will know if you're a shop owner requesting to join it.
Yeah.
'Cause Matt,
But even
That's
even
not
if
just-
you are a shop owner, it
Matt's
doesn't
head,
matter.
It's not just the hat.
Right.
It's not just to hold the hat. There's smarts there.
Even if you are a shop owner, it doesn't matter because we're gonna say what place we're gonna hit up that morning.
I hate you, Kyle. I hate you so much.
You're such a fucking liar. You know me.
I've had enough of you to last a lifetime tonight.
Break some bread. See Matt get offered some bread.
Yeah, we'll go. I'll go get some lunch at a Chili's or something.
Yeah, go to Chili's.
Corbin can sit in a high chair.
Corbin can order drinks before, or Corbin can order the entree before the drinks.
Listen, I don't like to waste time. I know I'm gonna
Dude.
get the giant cookie if they have it. I know, like
I'm forever gonna order like that for the rest of my life. What would you like to drink? I want the number 7. Onions, no tomatoes, mustard.
I just gotta make sure I don't pass
That's
out
right.
again, or I'll find myself on the screensaver thanks to diabolical. So I'm just gonna make sure I eat and don't fall asleep. Make sure I'm up.
Matt's face says, "Hey prick, fuck off."
Oh boy.
Oh.
And we can walk. Yes, when we go to Fantastic, we'll walk right across the street to the wonderful Wendy's and eat.
Yep. Go to Fantastic Chili's again.
Fantastic Chili's. It'll be good.
Or that really nice Mexican restaurant that's right there, spitting
Oh.
distance.
Actually, I was so excited when we were gonna go to the Red Robins, but it was closed, so maybe it'll be open when we go back down.
I just love it. We were pulling, like, we Googled all these places to eat as we're pulling out. I was like, there's a goddamn Mexican restaurant right there that we just pulled away and just drove off. We're going to go to Chili's. We're going to go to Chili's. It's like 7 miles away.
Chili's was decent though. Yeah.
Welcome to
I
Chili's.
wanted to go to the Wendy's, and everyone was like, "No, not the Wendy's. They're trash. No, Wendy's. Oh, that was a
No. You said somewhere. You said like Subway or some shit.
I said Wendy's first. Then I said Subway. Then that bug came and was crawling up on you. And
No,
like,
Let's talk about you who screamed like a girl from
I
that
didn't
bug.
scream like I screamed in a high pitched fashion.
No, Kyle, like a girl. Yeah.
That I do not remember like that.
Oh, I remember it perfectly.
Do you remember you're jumping out the chair to avoid it touching you, Matt?
No, I sat there the entire time.
No, Matt didn't.
No, sir.
3 legs, dude.
I sat there the entire time. You're the one that was like, ah! Like,
That motherfucker came there. You jumped up. Oh!
no. I kicked the thing away.
Oh, Portillo's. Why didn't we go down there? I feel like one of us brought it up. It probably was me, and someone got denied. Who brought it? I brought it. We went over the restaurant.
Place behind the Circle K, Chuck. Which one did
I
you
love Portillo's, man.
Yeah, I only went there once. It was actually with you guys, I think. I don't think maybe were you there, Brian?
I don't think so.
No, it was me, you.
Doug, Mike.
Yeah. It was
Kyle,
after Old ManCon.
Old ManCon, yeah, that's right. And
what's that Italian joint? The Chicago.
Yeah, and they had that chocolate cake shake, which was so weird but so good.
Fucked me up.
Oh, yeah.
I love their Italian.
I fucking.
You know what? That's where it is.
Asshole for like 2 days.
That's the next place. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Hopefully, I'll have some good trades, and if it will go Fantastic Worlds, I can practice again.
And you know what would be the ultimate thing to happen out of all this? That it turns into a small convention like we used to do with John, where we ran out of VFW and all the fans that do the comic crawl can bring their wares. And
I would love to look at that. I would love to look into us doing that. Comic book swap meet, finding out where we could rent out, like you just said, VFW hall somewhere.
I've been talking about doing this for like 5 years.
We should put it in action. Comic book swap meet where people can come buy, sell, and trade their books, their collections, whatever they want. And we don't take anything off the top like somebody else we know who wanted to. It's just you just come, sell your shit, and move on.
Yeah.
Come, sell, move.
There you go.
There you are. Spoken like Chicago.
Move, come.
Whoa, I don't know about come.
Whoa.
I mean,
I heard
that this is it for this week.
Batman again.
We're gonna end this show this week because that's what I heard.
Into any news?
You
did.
Tapped on all the news we were going to talk about. You said none of it matters. It's not going to catch up to Jack. I don't even know who gives about Batman. Who gives about you gives about anything. Let's just end the show. And then
again, I 100% agree with Corbin. Again, 100% agree with Corbin.
I never once said let's end the show.
No, you never said end the show. You just said everything that we were going to talk about afterwards didn't matter, so let's not talk about it. And I said,
Corbin,
that means end the show. That's what I said, because you were just shooting down everything else. If you want to go listen to everyone's talking about Michael Keaton Batman, no one gives about Flash.
So what was the title of Grizzle Geek's episode?
You literally went and told us to go listen to Grizzle Geek. You told us to leave our own show and go to a different show if we want to talk about Batman.
Are you not remembering that?
What was the title of Grizzle Geek this week?
I don't know. I didn't catch all of it. I was able to come on for a minute. Probably Michael Keaton's Batman, but guess what? We are totally different people. Mike and Doug are two different, unique people, and Kyle has his own opinion, and that basically is fuck the news. And I have an opinion, and Matt has an opinion, and we can all talk about the same subject from different opinions.
God, Corbin's talking so fast, I don't think I have an opinion anymore.
When I get fired up, I go
What do you think about this, Corbin?
I think it's perfect. However, scrap the stupid Flashpoint idea like Matt said, who I agree with 1,010%, and go with Batman Beyond for the 80 frickin'est time. Okay, I don't even know 80 frick time. Because we've done this so many times with Michael Keaton. You finally have this Batman. This is where
I think Grizzle Geeks was
I like it.
I think that like almost half a bottle.
I think Grizzle Geeks episode was something like the real Batman's back in the cowl or something like that. But
Yeah. It just ultimately, I don't know. I'm glad he's back. Use him for a storyline that works. Take the punch, Batman Beyond. Stop doing the stupid Flashpoint stuff to reignite a universe that has been flopping pretty much from the beginning, except for like Aquaman and Shazam, which aren't going to lead.
I'm past ice, Chuck. There's no ice.
All right, Scott wants to do some news. We'll do some news. We'll do some odd news.
Let's get that beat.
Tonight, the Six Dad World Primetime Special with people just like you, only more pathetic.
It's a bit nutty.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy.
Topless UK woman saves family from drowning. A 28-year-old British woman saved two sisters and a cousin from drowning in the waters while topless.
Who does not want to get rescued topless? That's a fat dude.
I don't even have a strong comment to that.
Could you imagine, like, just like it's Sandlot, can you imagine if what's her name dove in topless to save dude and then he kissed her?
To save
I know how to
squints.
swim, and I know how to swim. I'd be like, I'm limp, I'm drowning. Like, yeah.
To save
that
squints.
would
Dude,
happen.
like you could nestle between the boobies. And
Wendy, wasn't her name Wendy Peppercorn?
Yes.
Wendy Peppercorn?
Well, that's the name right there.
And then she just back
I need some Wendy Paprika myself.
paprika.
Yeah, you can grab onto her two flotation
When
devices.
we were doing the interview, and fucking Jack said when he was having his conversation with fucking James Earl Jones, I about lost my shit.
Right?
I about lost my shit.
Oh, James Earl Jones, the one who killed MLK, of course. The one and only.
Dude, I almost said, didn't he kill MLK? Like, and I was like, you know what? He's not going to get it, and it's probably not going to go over well.
And then they go awkward.
Yeah, so I was like, but I looked at dude, I was like,
Abort.
If you look back, I think I went, because I was going to go there, and he said it. I'm like, I whispered, like,
Moly,
oh, yeah,
moly.
James Earl Jones. And then, like, forced me going hurt, and I'm like, okay, let that keep going. Because I was thinking the exact same thing.
Esteban says if you're drowning, she has trapped air pockets in her underboobs.
It would suck if you're drowning and you think you're getting saved by a topless woman, and when you get to the shore, you're like, fuck, it's a fat guy.
It's a fat, hairy man. He's got man tit in your face. Man's bladder explodes after holding in a pee for 18 hours after beer binge. Chinese man bladder burst when he unknowingly held his pee for 18 hours after binging on booze, according to a report.
That's
Okay, and if you read the report, he binged on 10 beers. His bladder exploded. What is he, like 3'4"? His
Probably.
bladder must be this fucking big, dude. I had 10 beers, my bladder exploded. Fuck off.
That just sounds
Pansy
painful
ass.
to me.
Well,
That just
yeah,
sounds incredibly painful. And like hearing that and knowing I have to go do number one right now, I'm going to leave, so mine doesn't first.
dude, number
There
one.
you go. Go.
I had 10 beers in my bladder. Ah, wait. Ah!
Don't hold your bladder.
When I read that article, that
Your
said
bladder might splatter.
the dude was probably like 3'4".
The last little bit of odd news. Deer runs in Black Lives Matters protest in New Jersey, seriously injuring a woman.
What?
A deer ran into a Black Lives Matters protest in New Jersey, seriously injuring a woman.
Whoops.
Yeah, you
Suicidal,
didn't plan for that one, did you?
suicidal deer, man.
I was watching this thing with Glenn Beck yesterday. Did you see that Glenn Beck thing?
Uh-uh.
He was showing where all the Black Lives Matter money goes. They only get 6% of it.
Yeah, aren't there like the two heads of Black Lives Matter, like two Jewish dudes?
It's like some other company. It's like there was another company that like financed it, and they were like, and yeah, they get most of the money. Black Lives Matter only gets like 6% of all their donations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking wrong.
Yeah, if you go and Glenn Beck did it like 2 days, like yesterday, the 25th or the 24th. So if you go on YouTube and look up Glenn Beck, you can see it's like 20 minutes or something. He's talking about it. It was crazy. Though. I was like, what the fuck?
There you go.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that pin drop?
I did. What the fuck? Ding.
Watch, listen.
This is what I
Heard it again.
this is what I hear. That's all I hear right there. All right, I think that's a good place to end it this week.
Do you?
Yes, I do, man. We've been going for over 3 hours.
What was your inspiration?
Look, we started early. We had a great fucking interview.
Like
all right.
2 minutes early.
Hey, we were on time though.
Jack's gonna watch the rest of this interview and just be like, "Fuck those guys."
Yeah, he'd be like, "Fuck those guys."
Like, those guys are fucking awesome.
Be like, my best friend Kyle is no longer my best friend.
I agree with Kyle. Matt, why did you ask me that question? Why was that question asked twice?
All right, well, I got plenty of interviews coming up to fix that, to rectify that issue.
So when you did your other interview, did you ask the same question twice?
No. Not that I know of, but I'm going off my questions to play it safe. Because I don't want to get into a territory where I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Just talk.
That's my biggest fear, is getting into something with these people that I don't know what I'm fucking talking about and have them be like, what are you, some kind of idiot?
Like the interview with Jack? Yeah.
Fuck you, Corbin.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
On tour.
I had to do just a random one. I know. And they did a
Well,
great job, Matt.
a big thank you to Jack O'Halloran.
Yes, thank you, Jack.
Hands down, that dude is fire, man. It's like I was hanging on every word of that dude.
Yeah. I'm going to go back and probably watch it.
Part of me was like,
Rewatch.
where's he at? It is still daylight the entire time for this interview.
He's in California. He's in Cali.
Aren't they at the same time as us right now, though?
But I was
Yeah,
like,
they're
it's
the same
dark
time.
outside. How is it?
Oh.
The window behind him. How the fuck is there daylight coming?
I think it
through?
was a TV, dude. I think it was a TV behind him or a computer screen.
I did hear voices
Oh,
later.
dude, that was a window.
I thought it was, but when we rewatch on further analysis, we'll probably come to a different agreement. Just kidding. I don't know.
Oh my God.
There's a couple times I was like, I thought he was like in Japan or something because it was fucking daylight out, and I thought he was talking to us.
But yes, big thanks again to Jack O'Halloran for joining us and
Awesome interview.
talking history
You didn't
and
even
Superman
interview
2. No,
He said, "Hey,
we just shot the shit.
talk and we're gonna listen."
Yeah, it was a great story time with Jack.
Yeah.
And be on the lookout for the other interviews we have coming out. Yeah,
Larry
Hankin, and so many others.
Confidence you just gave our listeners all the. We got this guy.
I'm so
and
bad at this because I'm
others.
just waiting for you to fucking bust my balls again.
Just so
I'm just
many.
waiting. Every word I
damn
say,
many.
I'm like, fuck, he's gonna just mock the shit out of everything that comes out of my mouth.
We got Larry coming on, and honestly, like,
and
so-
other people.
I can't even get through this
So
because I
many other
know the
random-
minute I say something, Kyle's gonna be all over me, and I just like.
So you just need to end it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's just got to come to an end, man. Fuck.
You'll catch all these great guests on Couch Countries
I
on
hate
Friday night, 7:30. That's what
Not Couch Countries.
I know. He's tired. That's what
Dude,
it is.
I'm
He's
just.
tired.
All right, so we've got be on the lookout for our great interviews coming with Larry Hankin and Bill Foster.
And
Make
so,
sure to contact Absolute Geek Podcast at gmail.com.
I can't even talk. It's still talking over me like it's just not stopping.
It's just not stopping.
Oh my God. Join us next week when we have an interview with John Pierre Giginoli. I fucked that up again, I'm sure. We're talking about Ford versus Ferrari. Kyle's going to pick his brain on, paranormal investigation. Maybe we can get him to do some rap and some improv and some comedy for us.
Dude, we should do a rap battle with him.
There you go. Write a rap.
Oh, I like to shit big piles.
There you go. Kyle's got that. There it is. But for this week, if you had a great time tonight, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Please make sure to leave comments down below. Hit that notification bell so you know when we go live every Friday night or when we upload one of our awesome upcoming interviews because we've got a lot coming. If you're finding us on a Monday on our playback, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on any of your podcasting listening platforms. Make sure to leave us a reviews. It helps us so much in the podcast standings. And make sure to check out Tales from the Spinner Rack Sunday nights.
Don't check that out.
Make sure to check out Grizzle Geeks Friday nights at 6 o'clock before we go on. Check out Couch Crunchers tomorrow night if you need more podcasting. And make sure to check out Bogcast, Tales from the Flip Side, and like every 9 other podcasts Brian's a part of. So for this week's episode of the Absolute Geek Podcast, I'm Matt.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Corbin.
And we'll see you guys next Friday.
Maybe. If you're a comic book store that's in trouble, we're gonna help you. That don't stay though.
I know.